Chapter 1250. Su Fang looked at Fairy Xuanxin. This woman was in a state of cultivation, and a cold air surrounded her, exuding a cold and holy aura. There was also a vast and shocking aura expanding in her body, about to explode. She was obviously at a critical moment in her cultivation. Both Luo and the mysterious woman in the Origin Sacred Mirror said that Fairy Xuanxin was extraordinary, so she must be very extraordinary, very extraordinary. If she hadn't been betrayed by Yin Sunxin, her achievements would have been amazing. Luo sighed in the depths of the blood jade. When you were asleep, Fairy Xuanxin didn't hesitate to save you with her primordial spirit, true qi, and even life essence, and almost lost her life. Between cultivators, the strong preys on the weak. Even family members and relatives will betray and betray. Although a cultivator's life is long, there aren't many people you can trust, and a Tao companion is even rarer. This woman is worth cherishing for your life. From the first time he met this woman to the entanglements of fate, scenes flashed in his mind. Hearing Luo's words, Su Fang felt warmth in his heart. If he experienced a reincarnation after escaping death, he would cherish life and the hard-won friendship even more. Then, Su Fang's eyes flashed with sharpness. Yin Sunxin, you once cruelly hurt Xuanxin. It won't be long before I use your blood to pay for it. He took out an ancient spirit vein and inserted it into the array to help Xuanxin cultivate. Then Su Fang walked out of the array. Brother, master, the experts and Big Goblin all rushed over, their eyes filled with joy. Su Fang was also touched. Original body, you finally recovered. Second primordial spirit's cold voice sounded. Second primordial spirit, your body is seriously injured. Su Fang saw the seriously injured zombie emperor and couldn't help but frown. It's okay. When I get that supreme body in the god burial enclosure, I'll just change into a new one. Not bad. After absorbing the corpse emperor back into his crucible transformation cauldron, he continued to nourish him with various spiritual items to heal his injuries. After all, it was the fleshly body of an immortal emperor. It would be a pity to abandon it. Even if his second primordial spirit had no use for this fleshly body in the future, he could still refine it into a corpse puppet. His second essence, soul, also entered the heavenly fiend blood disk to devour and fuse with Night Demon. Swish! Swish! One after another, human cultivators appeared in front of Su Fang. There were nearly 10,000 of them. Senior, Su Fang was very polite to Fairy Li. He gave her a large amount of medicinal pills to recover. Once her injuries were healed, she could leave at any time. The others did not receive such treatment, regardless of whether they were from the constellation of Nine Heavens or the Clear Skies Myriad Scrolls door. Su Fang showed his ruthless and domineering side. In order to save you, I paid a heavy price and almost died. Now, I will give you two choices. Submit to me and work for me, or be imprisoned by me for 1,000 years. After 1,000 years, I will release you. Everyone had been captured by the demons and brought to Demon Dawn. If it weren't for Su Fang, their final fate would have been miserable. They had also witnessed Su Fang's overall strength with their own eyes. In addition to their current situation, when one of them spoke up to submit, the others all followed suit. Of course, there were also several hundred that refused to bow their heads. They were directly taken into the Yellow Springs Great Emperor bottle by Su Fang. As for Red Kite, Su Fang didn't plan on letting her go. He kept her in the Yellow Springs Great Emperor bottle and waited until he had time to ask her about the boundless secular palace. He didn't do this to take revenge for being hunted down in the past, but to prevent her from leaking information to the Divine Palace Young Master. With this group of human cultivators, Su Fang's overall strength instantly increased by more than double. In a single breath, Su Fang took out several spirit veins and placed them in the ruins. He also took the corpses of demon and demonic cultivators that he had harvested from Demon Dawn and placed them into the crucible transformation furnace to be refined. Among them, there were great elder-level powerhouses that contained rich mortal essence. After refining the demonic energy and demon blood, they became cultivation resources for the Big Goblin and junior commanders. He also took out yin-yang immortal firmament pills, and all sorts of spiritual objects for the cultivators and Big Goblin to cultivate. This time, he obtained 5 world fragments from the demon and demonic cultivators and gave them all to the Big Goblin to cultivate. Now, Bai Ling and the other powerful Big Goblins all had world fragments. Seeing Su Fang's rich resources, the newly submitted cultivators were incomparably shocked. Even those that had other thoughts were willingly convinced. Dealing with all of this, his cold eyes swept over the masters and Big Goblin, as well as the junior commanders and human cultivators. Everyone fell silent, revealing awe and awe. After transforming, Su Fang had fused with the power of thunder tribulation. Now, he carried with him a supreme lightning attribute divinity, causing the masters and Big Goblin to revere him even more. To them, their master's will was the will of the heavenly Tao, something they could not defy. In the Battle of Demon Dawn, you all displayed a formidable strength. However, the demons have entered the immortal realm. A great war is inevitable, and I have become a thorn in their side. Moreover, besides the demons, my enemies are also Emperor Tranquility's mansion, Heavenly Tao, Immortal World, and other immortal emperor influences. Our strength is far from enough. Strength. Don't hesitate to consume resources to increase your strength. The masters, Big Goblin, junior commanders, and human cultivators all responded in unison. We obey master's orders. After learning that Green Feather King had left with the Leviathan monster, Su Fang couldn't help but sigh. When he had seen the Leviathan monster in the monster-raising cave, he had already been in a state of near death. Afterwards, he had relied on the yin-yang immortal firmament pill to recover a little. In the fierce battles at Demon Dawn, the Leviathan monster might have, at the very least, the Leviathan monster fought a great battle with a peak immortal emperor powerhouse before his death. With Green Feather King accompanying him, his death can be considered a worthy one. Su Fang sighed inwardly. He returned to the array formation where Fairy Xuanxin was cultivating. After settling down for a long time, he already had a plan in his heart. First, he would digest his harvests at Demon Dawn. Although he had undergone a complete transformation, he was still like a seedling that had just emerged from thunder. He was far from being restored to his peak state. There was also the various abilities he had obtained after his mortal body metamorphosed. There was also the Thunder of Destiny, Thunder Punishment True Body, Thunder Punishment Cauldron, and other Tao tools that he had obtained. He needed to constantly digest all of this and rapidly transform it into a formidable strength. He definitely had to go to the god burying enclosure. He had to break the seal and obtain the immortal emperor Yu's supreme mortal body, gaining the strength to contend with an immortal emperor powerhouse. He also had to make a trip to the Candle Sky Thunderworld. According to the Thought Manifestation Sage's map, he would find the strange flame of Thunder's fury. Not only would he be able to cultivate the illusion fire cloud, but he might also be able to cultivate the Thunder Punishment True Body. He would fulfill the Blood Oath and kill Yin Sunshin. Then, he would find a way to find immortal Emperor Tianong and obtain the third part of the Purple Cloud Lost Spirit. As for the boundless secular palace, he didn't know whether or not Divine Palace young Master Gong had found it. But Red Kite was currently in the Yellow Springs Great Emperor's bottle. When the time came, he would ask her about it. He entered the Crucible Transformation Realm. His mortal body shattered, turning into a pool of blood. After swallowing a part of the Dark Jade Demon Emperor's body, Su Fang's Yellow Springs Blood Sea now covered an astonishing area of over 1,500 feet. With the increase in area, not only did the Yellow Springs Blood Sea's devouring ability become even more abnormal, the power of its various divine abilities also increased. However, the Devil Chi, Devil Poison, and Death Chi in the Blood Demon's body caused considerable damage to the Yellow Springs Blood Sea. Fortunately, the Cauldron of Thunder Punishment had cleansed his body, cleansing all of these things. Otherwise, Su Fang would need many years and a lot of energy to refine these side effects. After all, that was the mortal body of a peak immortal emperor. With a single thought, a red pill appeared above the pool of blood. This pill was the incomparably huge gorilla devil that had been refined by the treasured mirror. As it was completely condensed from energy, there wasn't a trace of pill fragrance, but one could sense the majestic, pure yang energy contained within it. When the pill fell into the pool of blood, its skin gradually melted. Suddenly, an unparalleled pure yang energy burst out, causing the pool of blood to boil immediately, burning with astonishing flames of life. It was as if a roaring wave had been set off out of nowhere, vast and surging. After refining this pill, Su Fang's cultivation realm would not only be greatly improved, but the Yellow Springs Blood Sea would also undergo a transformation. Moreover, the abundant pure yang energy would constantly impact the yang meridian, and it wouldn't be long before the 27th yang meridian was born. However, it would definitely take a long time to completely refine this pill. At the same time, Su Fang also separated himself from the Yang Immortal and entered the Cauldron Transformation formation to refine and integrate with the Cauldron of Thunder Punishment. This Supreme Dao tool was on the same level as the Xianming Lightning Scroll. Although it had become broken, it still possessed astonishing power. Moreover, the Cauldron of Thunder Punishment had the ability to devour lightning tribulations, which would be of great use in the future, not only for Su Fang, but also for those big goblin. Su Fang also thought that the Cauldron of Thunder Punishment could be used to deal with Huang Lingyao's Yunshao lightning sword. In addition to cultivating various cultivation techniques, Su Fang focused on comprehending the new ability that he had just obtained from the Heavenly Secret Life shrinking technique. Lightning of Destiny. He couldn't directly use this ability now, but he could activate the Xianming Lightning Scroll. What kind of terrifying power would it have to activate a Supreme Dao tool like the Xianming Lightning Scroll with the Supreme Destiny Divine ability? Just thinking about it in his heart made Su Fang's heart beat wildly. About 5 years passed. The Yellow Springs Blood Sea suddenly rolled and turned into a physical state. Su Fang flew out of the Cauldron Transformation formation, his body bursting with Tribulation Chi. The Tribulation fire continued to burn. Probably because of the transformation of his physical body, the impurities that came out of his body were fewer than ever before. Soon, they were burned to ashes by the Tribulation fire. The impact of the promotion swept through his body. The promotion force completely stabilized his newly transformed physical body, and his cultivation realm broke through a stepping into the third Dao realm of the Feather Immortal realm. His mortal body had undergone nirvana. Transformation, 26 Yang Meridians had been born. He had stepped into the third Dao realm of the Feather Immortal realm, and he had even obtained the body and mind of the number 1 fairy maiden. This adventure into Demon Dawn Frontier had brought him an incomparably rich harvest. No wonder Luo Yi had said that great dangers also contained great opportunities. As he stabilized his third Dao realm, he also examined the abilities of his mortal body after its transformation. He released his Great Perfection ability. At this time, his Great Perfection ability could sense up to 70 to 80 miles. It had to be known that in these ruins, his sensibility would be suppressed. If he were in the natural world, this number would be multiplied. Wang, with his Great Perfection ability, he suddenly sensed Fairy Maiden Li's aura. After she had recovered a year ago, she had left these ruins, so why had she returned? Galvanizing his Great Perfection ability, Su Fang saw a scene that caused his body to emit a fierce killing intent. So, Fairy Maiden Li was being hunted down by someone and was running for her life. Fairy Maiden Li wasn't running for her life by herself. There were 2 other old men with her. One of them was a blue-robed old man whose strength was at the level of the Great Elder, and the other was a white-robed old man. He was Nether Mystic. There were over 100 powerhouses chasing after Nether Mystic. Looking at their robes, they should belong to the Heavenly Dao, Immortal World's Heavenly Dao White Sun sect. Chapter 1251. Who Su Fang's murderous aura surged as he stood up. Suddenly, what's wrong? Fairy Xuanxin, who had been trying to break through the bottleneck, suddenly spoke with her primordial spirit. The 2 of them cultivated yin and yang, so their fates were connected and their minds were the same. She sensed Su Fang's murderous intent. An old friend is being hunted down by an enemy. It doesn't matter. You can cultivate in peace, Su Fang said plainly. This cultivation session was very important to Xuanxin goddess. He couldn't cause her heart to waver. Hence, Su Fang didn't tell her that Xian Tian was being hunted by the celestial plane. Be careful, Xian Xn Fairy reminded him, and once again immersed herself in her cultivation. Su Fang passed through the array and arrived in front of his subordinates. He immediately revealed his domineering aura. There's a strong enemy. Prepare to fight. His subordinates immediately became excited, especially the violent big goblin. At the same time, he contacted the second primordial spirit in the heavenly demon blood plate. Second primordial spirit, can we fight now? The second primordial spirit's arrogant voice sounded. I've already swallowed half of Night Demon. My primordial spirit can crush an ordinary immortal emperor, but the corpse emperor's body is a bit weak. It doesn't matter. In addition to the corpse emperor's body, there's also the desolate demon's body in Demon Dawn Fortress. It can still be used. It doesn't matter if it's damaged. With two immortal emperor-level bodies in his hands, Su Fang seemed very confident. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The experts and Big Goblin entered the crucible transformation realm. The other small commanders and the newly subdued cultivators were taken into the Yellow Spring Great Emperor bottle by Su Fang. He also left behind some Big Goblin and experts to protect Fairy Xuanxin. Su Fang directly activated the feather fan and flew across the sky like a meteor. At this time, he could already activate the full power of the feather fan. His speed was not inferior to that of a powerhouse like the Great Elder. The powerhouses of the heavenly law, immortal realm chased after them. Xian Tian, Fairy Li, and another old man fled in panic. Xian Tian looked dispirited and his breath was chaotic. His white beard was stained with blood. It was obvious that he was seriously injured. Otherwise, with his strength, his speed would not have fallen to the same level as Fairy Li. The old man with an otherworldly and elegant aura was slightly weaker than Xian Tian, but he was still a powerful elder. He also seemed to be seriously injured. Suddenly, Xian Tian stopped and said, "You two can go first. I'll stay here and cover your retreat." The Venerable One asked in surprise, "Didn't Fairy Li of the Brahma meditation sect say that Su Fang and Xuanxin Fairy are just ahead and have countless experts under their command? Why did Brother Xian change his mind?" Xian Tian said in a deep voice, "Su Fang was able to save Xuanxin from the devil race. His courage and strength are extraordinary. It's true that he has powerful experts around him. But this time, the ones chasing after us are the immortal Emperor Long Lingjun under immortal Emperor Tianong, and the elites of Heavenly Dao Immortal Domain and Heavenly Dao White Sun Sect. Even if I die in battle, I can't lead them to them." So, after Xian Tian learned that Xuanxin Fairy had been kidnapped by the devil race, he immediately rushed from the Clear Sky Thousand Scroll Gate to the Shunlan Immortal Domain and charged into the turbulent abyss. Who knew that the spatial turbulence in the torn zone would be stirred up by the Kuan demon and become even more difficult to pass through? Although Xian Tian's strength was amazing, he was still swept into the extraterritorial space-time turbulence. After finally escaping from the extraterritorial space-time turbulence and rushing back to the immortal AO Great World, the exhausted Xian Tian encountered the Heavenly Dao Immortal Domain's expert Long Lingjun. The other party suddenly attacked, and Xian Tian escaped with serious injuries. He fled to his good friend Master Piaron's place. Long Lingjun followed and chased him all the way to this void. On the way, he met Fairy Li. From Fairy Li, Xian Tian learned the whereabouts of Su Fang and Xuanxin Fairy and was overjoyed. But because Master Piaron was an outsider, Fairy Li didn't expose Su Fang's full strength. She only vaguely told Xian Tian that Su Fang had many experts under him and could resist the Heavenly Dao Immortal Domain's pursuit. Unexpectedly, Xian Tian was worried that he would bring disaster to Xuanxin Fairy and suddenly change his mind. Without waiting for Fairy Li and Master Piaron to persuade him, Xianin Tian unleashed his aura and turned to kill the Heavenly Tao Immortal Domains experts. Fairy Li and Master Piaron hesitated for a moment and followed Xianin Tian. Buzz, he slightly activated the life shrinking technique and combined it with his great perfection ability to sense Xianin Tian's whereabouts. Seeing Xianin Tian's actions clearly, Su Fong was shocked. Not good. Then, Su Fong showed a puzzled expression. The Heavenly Tao Immortal Domains experts actually surrounded Xianin Tian and didn't intend to kill or capture him alive. It seemed like they were waiting for something. Su Fong was very surprised. After a while, he released all his subordinates and ordered them to surround the Heavenly Tao Immortal Domains experts on both sides. He himself drove the feather fan forward with all his strength. Less than 100 miles away, Su Fong drove the feather fan and appeared in front of everyone in just a few breaths. Su Fong. Xianin Tian was surprised at first, but then he shouted coldly, "What are you doing here? Hurry up and leave." Hua. More than a dozen Heavenly Tao Immortal Domains experts came across the sky and surrounded Su Fong. "You are Su Fong? You are indeed still alive." The person who spoke was wearing a yellow robe with a 5-clawed golden dragon that was lifelike. He had an amazing aura of a ruler. Su Fong's great perfection ability sensed that there were dragon shadows in this person's Emperor Qi. In this immortal domain, only immortal Emperor Tianang's clansmen or the peerless experts under him could possess both Emperor Qi and Dragon Qi at the same time. This person was a supreme expert under immortal Emperor Tianong, Long Ling Jun. This person's words made Su Fong's eyebrows furrow, and his eyes exuded doubt. "Take this person down. Remember to leave him with one last breath." Long Lingjuan's aura sank, and he said in a domineering voice, as if he was treating Su Fong as a weak chicken to be slaughtered, "Yes, Lord." An old man came out from Long Lingjuan's side with an arrogant aura. Looking at his clothes, as well as the Emperor's Qi and Dragon's Qi, this person didn't come from the White Sun sect. Instead, he was a direct subordinate of the Dragon Tomb Lord. His cultivation had reached the level of a powerful elder, similar to Lin Yihan and the Baimo monarch. "Finally, I can fight with the experts under immortal Emperor Tianong." Su Fong's battle intent burned. The third part of the purple Qi Law Spirit had fallen into the hands of immortal Emperor Tianong. There would be a battle sooner or later, and now was a good time to use the experts under him to warm up. "Su Fong, hurry up and leave. I will hold them back." Xianin Tian shouted anxiously through his Yuan spirit. "Leave?" Su Fong smiled faintly and replied with his Yuan spirit, "Senior, don't worry. I will deal with everything. You just need to protect yourself." Xianin Tian raised his white eyebrows, and his eyes were filled with anger. Just as he was about to attack, Fairy Maiden Li's Yuan spirit suddenly said, "Senior, watch from the side. Su Fong has the strength to deal with all of this." Su Fong could deal with Long Ling Jun, an immortal emperor, and more than 100 experts from the Heavenly Tao Immortal Realm. "Why don't you surrender?" The old man from the Heavenly Tao Immortal Realm burst out with his Emperor Qi, forming a shackle that shrouded the void around Su Fong as if he was the supreme ruler of this space. Then, step by step, he charged toward Su Fong. He opened his big hand and grabbed at Su Fong. The shadow of a dragon claw enveloped Su Fong, intending to shackle Su Fong directly. In this person's view, Su Fong was under the suppression of his ruler's aura. How could he not tremble and his will collapse? "I, Su Fong, am not a weak chicken that can be slaughtered at will." Su Fong suddenly burst out with a supreme ruler's aura. The Emperor's seal merged with the purple Qi Law Spirit, making Su Fong's divine aura superior to any emperor's. It also merged with the power of the Thunder Punishment, making Su Fong's ruler's divine aura have a supreme will of the Heavenly Tao. How could a great elder's emperor's divine aura contend against it? The old man's aura shattered, and the shadow of the dragon claw also turned into nothingness. Instead, he He was suppressed by Su Fang's ruler's divine aura. His whole body trembled, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. Boom! Su Fang took advantage of the situation to attack, but he did not form any hand seals to activate any divine ability. Instead, he directly used the strength of his perfect physical body to burst out with powerful physical strength. A cultivator who mastered Dragon Qi would have a very strong physical body, and their yang energy would also be very shocking. However, they would not have the other abilities of a perfect physical body. It turned out that Su Fang wanted to test the strength of this person's physical body. You want to compete with me in terms of physical strength? You're courting death. The old man laughed sinisterly. His whole body emitted a strong dragon qi, his muscles bulged, and dragon scales formed on his face and exposed skin. He fiercely punched towards Su Fang. Boom! There was no explosion of aura, only a powerful physical body and the yang energy of both sides. Puff! The old man's body was sent flying, and blood spurted out of his mouth. Su Fang's body shook. Not only was he not injured, he did not even take a step back. His face was filled with strong confidence. His physical body had been reborn, and its strength had reached a new level. Just in terms of physical strength, it was far superior to the old man's physical body that was cultivated with Dragon Qi. The land of the earth is the land of the emperor. Su Fang was not going to let the old man go. He suddenly formed a hand seal, and a burst of emperor's qi exploded from his body. With the aura of a ruler and the loftiness of an overlord, it formed a shocking shackle that enveloped the old man. Overlord Emperor's Heaven Technique. How do you know the supreme divine ability of Emperor Ning's residence? In this immortal realm, only Emperor Ning's residence's way of the emperor could suppress the heavenly law immortal realm. In the past, when Emperor Ning killed a peerless genius of the heavenly law immortal realm, he also used the Overlord Emperor's Heaven Technique. Now, it was actually used by Su Fang. Not only the old man who was fighting with Su Fang, but even Long Lingjun, Xian Yintian, and the others exclaimed, Emperor's Fist, boundless divine power. With the aura of a ruler that could conquer all directions, Su Fang ran like thunder and instantly arrived in front of the old man. Yellow Dragon Claw. Although the old man's body was not unable to move, his emperor's qi was suppressed, and he hurriedly formed a hand seal to counterattack. Rumble. The old man's move was slow, and he was restrained everywhere. He had just struck out a huge golden claw, but before it could form an imposing aura, it was shattered by Su Fang's overbearing fist. Su Fang's imposing aura did not diminish, and his fist landed solidly on the old man's chest. The old man's qi field was shattered, and his powerful body resisted Su Fang's attack, but his internal organs were still injured by the overbearing fist. He spat out a mouthful of blood with broken internal organs, and his body was sent flying more than 100 feet away. A powerful great elder of the heavenly law immortal realm was seriously injured. The old man's carelessness was one thing, but Su Fang's attack was not only powerful, but the suppression of the old man's emperor's qi and the fierce and decisive attack were the most important. Shock, horror, all the experts of the heavenly law immortal realm were dumbfounded. Xian Tian's old face was also filled with disbelief. The first time he saw Su Fang in the clear sky thousand scroll gate, what kind of strength did he have at that time? How many years had passed, and now he had the astonishing strength to defeat the powerful great elder. This kid, is he still human? Su Fang, you are indeed extraordinary. But if you think that you can be arrogant in front of this emperor because of the divine ability of Emperor Ning's mansion, then you are gravely mistaken. Long Lingjuan's voice was filled with supreme arrogance, and he gave up on Xian Yintian and went straight to Su Fang. If you think that you can be arrogant in front of me because you are an immortal emperor expert, then you are gravely mistaken. Su Fang sneered coldly. Asterisk few. Asterisk a figure with a strong aura of death suddenly appeared in front of Su Fang. Corpse Emperor. Long Lingjun revealed a shocked and surprised expression. Chapter 12:52. Longling Jun's expression was solemn as he glanced at the corpse emperor. To be able to control a corpse emperor. Su Fong, your methods really shocked this emperor. You relied on this corpse emperor to escape from Emperor Ing of Ning Emperor Manor in Huangling of Shenlan Nation, right? Su Fong sneered. Now, do you still think I have the right to be arrogant in front of you? Longling Jun said in disdain. This emperor still has hundreds of experts under me. One corpse emperor is far from enough. Hand over ethereal truth and follow this emperor to Tian Dao Immortal World. Lord Immortal Emperor will grant you immortality and might even give you great benefits. Just as he said that, swish, swish, swish. Experts, Big Goblin, and more than 30,000 small commanders and cultivators gathered from all directions, forming a large encirclement that surrounded the experts of Tian Dao Immortal World. Kill, leave the corpse behind, Su Fong said in a cold voice. His subordinates surrounded from all directions, forming a huge aura that made the experts of Tian Dao Immortal World tremble. Their will to fight almost shattered. Second primordial spirit controlled the corpse emperor and was about to kill. Go! Without any hesitation, Longling Jun turned around and joined 100+ experts of the heavenly law Immortal World. He formed a seal with both hands, and a dense dragon chi surged out along with a dragon roar. It emitted a supreme divine might that enveloped all the experts of the heavenly law Immortal World. Then a golden shadow quickly formed into a 300-meter long giant golden dragon that soared into the sky with a shocking aura. Su Fong was about to let second primordial spirit out when Luo's voice came from the blood jade in his body. This ability of Tian Dao Immortal World is very extraordinary and has the supreme majesty of a divine dragon. It has a deterrent effect on primordial spirits. It's too late to let second primordial spirit make a move now. Su Fong could only give up, but he was not willing to give up. The divine dragon formed by Longling Jun's ability swung its tail and shook Su Fong's subordinates, tearing a crack in the encirclement. Su Fong, I've underestimated you. I'll let you off this time, but the next time I see you, I'll definitely take your head. Longling Jun's voice filled with killing intent came from the divine dragon formed by the divine ability. He even controlled the divine dragon to circle in the sky. How arrogant. The next second, you're just a phantom with the aura of a worm. How dare you be so arrogant? A gigantic azure pung, which looked like a gigantic eagle that had been enlarged infinitely, tore through the void from afar with a whoosh. It instantly traversed a distance of 3,000 meters at an unbelievable speed. When it was still 50 to 60 feet away from the divine dragon, the giant azure pung flapped its wings fiercely, setting off waves of turbulence that converged into a storm and surged towards the divine dragon. The divine dragon was swept up by the turbulent storm, and its huge body was tumbling. The gigantic green pung arrived in an instant, bringing with it an astonishing aura that could tear through time and space as it collided with the divine dragon. Rumble. After all, the divine dragon was only formed by the divine ability and not a real divine dragon. It instantly shattered, and the experts of the heavenly law Immortal World fell out from it. The azure pung let out a series of violent cries and struck out a series of azure-like claw prints with astonishing aura, instantly tearing the bodies of 4 or 5 experts into pieces, and a rain of blood fell from the void. Azure Feather King. This giant azure pung was Azure Feather King in his demon form. Su Fong was pleasantly surprised. Many of Su Fong's subordinates also exclaimed in surprise. Then he burst out with his aura and charged towards the experts of the heavenly law Immortal World. Second primordial spirit also came out and joined forces with Azure Feather King to fight Longling Jun. Longling Jun and the experts of the heavenly law Immortal World suddenly felt cold all over, as if they had fallen into an ice hole. Strange, how did Azure Feather King's strength soar to such an extent that he's only a step away from becoming a demon emperor? Moreover, he became so violent. What happened? Su Fong activated his great perfection ability to sense Azure Feather King and found that he was not out of control like those who were affected by the change of heaven and earth. Only then did he feel relieved. Second primordial spirit and Azure Feather King, who was close to becoming a demon emperor, plus so many experts, big goblin, tens of thousands of small commanders and cultivators, it was a complete siege situation. Su Fong could not intervene at all, so he met up with Xian Yintian. "You brat." Xian Yintian pointed at Su Fong, completely losing the demeanor of a celestial emperor expert. He was both amazed and overjoyed. He was amazed at Su Fong's strength and the powerful forces he controlled. What made Xian Yintian overjoyed was that his precious granddaughter had found such an amazing Dao companion. Back then, because Su Fong's strength was too low, he strongly opposed it. Good. Xuanxin has good taste." Xian Yintian could not help but laugh heartily, very proud. "Your granddaughter and I became Dao companions. It has nothing to do with her taste." Su Fong, of course, could only think these words in his heart. He would not dare to say it, even if he was beaten to death. The experts of heavenly law, immortal world, only lasted for 2 or 3 breaths before they were killed and surrendered. Only Long Lingjun was left to fight alone, but he was also an arrow at the end of its flight and could not hold on for long. Roar. Long Lingjun suddenly burst out with an earth-shattering roar. His body turned into a monster with a dragon body. His aura also rose sharply, striking out a series of astonishing claw prints, forcing Corpse Emperor and Azure Feather King back again and again. What kind of divine ability is this? Su Fong was shocked. This is heavenly law, immortal world's divine dragon transformation. When cultivated to the extreme, you can transform into a divine dragon and have some of the innate abilities of a divine dragon. It is a famous supreme divine ability in the great immortal world. However, Long Lingjun obviously has not cultivated it to the extreme. He can only transform in a half of a dragon. Xian Yintian said aloud, full of awe for this supreme divine ability. Long Lingjun was about to break out of the encirclement. Su Fong suddenly flew into the sky, shocking Xian Yintian. "Try to trap him." Sending a Yuan Shun voice to Green Feather King and Azure Feather King. Su Fong flipped his wrist, and the Origin Saint Mirror appeared in his hand. Corpse Emperor suddenly let out a death roar, shaking Long Lingjun's body slightly. Azure Feather King's wings flapped rapidly, setting off a whirlpool-shaped violent space-time turbulence that circled around Long Lingjun. The huge space-time distortion and shackling force suddenly made Long Lingjun unable to move. At this moment, Su Fong's eyes shone with divine light, a sensing force locked onto Long Lingjun. "If you were in your normal state, I would not be able to borrow the power of the mirror to kill cultivators. Since you have transformed into a divine dragon." Then, Su Fong sneered. The Origin Saint Mirror was erected and aimed at Long Lingjun. He activated the power of 9 suns in his body and entered the Origin Saint Mirror. A red light instantly shrouded Long Lingjun's upper body. Being surrounded, Long Lingjun was originally fearless, but now he was shocked and terrified, as if he felt that doomsday was coming. He began to struggle, his body bursting with astonishing dragon chi. Who knew that as the 9 suns' true fire burned in the red light, the dragon chi was quickly incinerated, and even the upper body that had transformed into a dragon was burning. Amidst a painful roar, Long Lingjun's upper body began to spontaneously combust, layers of impurities and a disgusting stench seeping out of Long Lingjun's body. Suddenly a golden Xian Guang suddenly emerged from Long Lingjun's head, and a supreme divine aura spread out. Under the pressure of this divine aura, even Azure Feather King was forced to retreat, and the weaker ones could not even fly. Only Corpse Emperor, who was controlled by Second Yuan Shun, was unaffected. Suddenly, a thunderous voice came from the blood jade in the depths of Luo Zai's body. "Quickly put away the mirror. Even the purple Qi Law spirit need to be hidden. That is immortal Emperor Tian Ang's Yuan Shun avatar. If he knows that you have such a divine tool and purple Qi Law spirit, he will definitely come personally." You're not his opponent for now. Su Fong quickly put away the Origin Saint mirror and then activated the Heaven's Secret Life shrinking technique, completely concealing the aura of the purple Qi Law spirit. The Nine Suns' true fire on Long Lingjuan's body gradually extinguished. His upper body was already burnt like charcoal, and there was still black smoke coming out. Even so, he was still not dead, showing how strong his body was after cultivating Dragon Qi, but he only had half of his life left. The Xian Guang suddenly changed, turning into a majestic figure. Although the face could not be seen clearly, there was a shocking divine aura, as if it was the supreme ruler of heaven and earth, able to make all things submit or even destroy it. What a supreme, immortal emperor! Just a Yuan Shun avatar had such terrifying divine aura. Compared to the leader of the constellation of nine heavens that Su Fong had seen before, it was much more terrifying. After all, this was a newly ascended immortal emperor, and no one knew how long immortal Emperor Tianong had been a supreme immortal emperor. Su Fong now had a very clear understanding of the gap between himself and immortal Emperor Tianong. The road to take back the third part of the Purple Qi Law spirit was very long. From a Yuan Shun avatar of immortal Emperor Tianong, Su Fong also felt the aura of the Purple Qi Law spirit, but it already fused closely with the monarch Qi. This made Su Fong's heart filled with killing intent. Immortal Emperor Tianong's avatar suddenly said, "What kind of Dao tool is this, to be able to cause such damage? In this immortal realm, there is someone who dares to kill the immortal emperors of my heavenly Dao immortal emperor. Who is it? Let me see who dares to not put me in his eyes." Xian Yintian hurriedly reminded, "Su Fong, you must not stand out. Once immortal Emperor Tianong knows your aura, you will not be able to escape from him in the future." "Thank you, Senior, for reminding me. It's okay." Smiling at Xian Yintian, Su Fong flew to Long Lingjuan's side. Looking sideways at immortal Emperor Tianong's avatar, Su Fong said proudly, "Are you saying that only the heavenly Dao immortal realm can kill people at will, and others can't kill people from the heavenly Dao immortal realm? The immortal emperor's principle is very domineering." "It's you?" Immortal Emperor Tianong's avatar emitted a sensing force with a shocking pressure and swept across Su Fong's body. His body trembled, and then Su Fong straightened his body. With his perfect physical body and various abilities, an immortal emperor's consciousness could not suppress him. Su Fong mocked. "As far as I know, a peerless genius of the heavenly Dao immortal realm was killed by Tranquility Emperor. Why did you swallow your anger in the end?" So immortal Emperor Tianong's domineering is only for cultivators weaker than the heavenly Dao immortal realm. Facing the real experts of the heavenly Dao immortal realm. Haha, immortal emperor is just a person who bullies the weak and fears the strong. Immortal Emperor Tianong said lightly, "In front of me, you are not even an ant. What qualifications do you have to judge me? Let Long Lingjun go, destroy your own cultivation, and I will grant you immortality. Otherwise you can't die, even if you want to." "Let Long Lingjun go and destroy my own cultivation? Immortal Emperor, do you think you are the heavenly Dao?" Su Fong mocked. In the next second, Su Fong suddenly let out a fierce voice, "Destroy this avatar." Immortal Emperor Tianong said disdainfully, "Ant, you are not qualified to hurt my avatar." Chapter 1253. One of immortal Emperor Tianong's primordial spirit doppelganger was killed by Su Fong's second primordial spirit. This was a supreme immortal emperor's primordial spirit doppelganger, not some cat or dog. What kind of powerful primordial spirit power was needed to kill a supreme immortal emperor's primordial spirit doppelganger so easily? So domineering, so strong. The big goblin experts and small commanders who had been with Su Fong for a long time did not feel anything. Xian Yintian, Fairy Li, the surviving experts of Heavenly Law Immortal World, White Sun Sect, and the cultivators who had submitted to Su Fong were all shocked and fearful. Master Piaron's face was pale, his body trembled, and beads of sweat rolled down from his forehead. Su Fong's sharp eyes swept across the surrendered experts of Heavenly Law Immortal World, and his voice was full of killing intent. Heavenly Law Immortal World and White Sun Palace. Don't leave anyone alive. Kill them all. Kill, kill, kill. Su Fong's order was carried out decisively. The experts and Big Goblin immediately took action, killing the surviving experts of Heavenly Law Immortal World, and the corpses were eaten by the Big Goblin. This time, those who had followed Long Ling Jun to kill Xian Tian were all experts, and the weakest was at the level of an elder. Their bodies were full of essence, and the Big Goblin had a good meal. As for the half-dead Long Ling Jun, he was sealed by Su Fong and kept in the shackles of the Crucible Transformation, waiting to be dealt with later. Su Fong's decisiveness shocked Xian Tian once again. His impression of Su Fong was completely overturned. Not only is his cultivation speed and power shocking, he also controls a strong force and possesses a supreme divine weapon. Moreover, he is ruthless and resolute in his actions. In the future, he will definitely not be an ordinary person. He will definitely be an overlord in the fairy region. Previously, not only did the Star Palace and the 10,000 Scrolls door look down on him, even Master Piaron's back was soaked with sweat, and he clasped his fist at Xian Tian and forced a smile. Brother Xian, now that you are out of danger, I will take my leave now. I will talk to you again in the future. Xian Tian hurriedly urged him to stay. Brother Piaron, you have risked your life to save me this time. You haven't thanked me yet. How can you leave like this? Master Immortal Piaron insisted on leaving, but Su Fong suddenly stopped him. Wait, young Master Su Fong, there's no need to keep him. Brother Xian and I have been friends for hundreds of thousands of years. Now that he's in danger, it's only right for me to save him. I still have matters to attend to, so I won't disturb young Master Su Fong any longer, Master Piaron said politely. Su Fong's eyes suddenly emitted a cold and sharp light. Did I say I wanted you to stay as a guest? I asked you to stay because I want you to tell me how Senior Xian Tian was chased by the Dragon Tomb Lord. Immortal Master Piaron's face darkened. He said coldly, What? Does young Master Su Fong suspect me? Xian Tian also hurriedly said, Su Fong, don't misunderstand. It's all thanks to Brother Piaron. Otherwise, I would have been killed by the Dragon Tomb Lord. How would I have the chance to see you? Su Fong was unmoved. He asked Master Piaron coldly. With Senior Xian Tian's strength, even if he was injured, it wouldn't be hard for him to escape the Dragon Tomb Lord's pursuit. Then I want to ask Immortal Master Piaron, how could the Dragon Tomb Lord have been able to track him all this time if no one informed him? Immortal Master Piaron sneered and didn't explain. Su Fong continued, and just now, the Dragon Tomb Lord caught up to Senior Xian Tian, but didn't kill him. It's not hard to tell from his words that he already knew I was here. He was waiting for me to save him so he could take me down in one fell swoop. I entered the demon race's nest and barely escaped. No one outside knows. Seniorly met with you guys, and only you guys know where I am. Immortal Master Piaron, tell me, how did the Dragon Tomb Lord know where I am? Immortal Master Piaron replied coldly. How would I know? Maybe it was Fairy Li who informed the Dragon Tomb Lord. I believe seniorly, it can't be him. Without waiting for Fairy Li to explain, Su Fong said firmly. In Huang Zhe Star Realm, Fairy Li knew Su Fong was Ghostface Rakshasa. If she wanted to betray Su Fong, she would have been hunted down by the Eight Forces. He was definitely someone she could trust. Fairy Li was very touched. Young Master Su Fong, could it be that your eyes have turned red from killing, and you even want to kill me, Brother Xian's close friend who saved his life? You want to frame me based on mere guesses and assumptions? What a domineering Su Fong. If you can't find any evidence, then I won't accompany you. Brother Xian, goodbye. Immortal Master Piaron said angrily and turned to leave. While Xian Tian was hesitating, Su Fong suddenly shouted coldly, My guess is the evidence. I can decide your life and death. Second primordial spirit, go. Master Piaron was surrounded by Lord Mo, Dai Yong, and the five ghosts. The second primordial spirit released its power and broke through the defense of Immortal Master Piaron's divine aperture. In less than a breath, it successfully took over his body. If it weren't for Xianning Tian, Su Fang would have killed him directly. He didn't need to waste time. The second primordial spirit swallowed immortal Master Piaron's consciousness and searched his soul. Sure enough, from immortal Master Piaron's memories, he learned that although this person's identity was a rogue cultivator, he was actually a master in Tian Dao, celestial realm. He had approached Xianning Tian and became his best friend because he wanted to know about the Gate of Thousand Scrolls in Qing Tian. Xianning Tian was ashamed and angry. He patted Su Fang's shoulder. I'm still old. Take me to see Xuanxin. Law also praised in the Blood Jade. Su Fang, if you want to become an overlord and become a supreme master, you should be decisive and ruthless like this time. You've grown a lot over the years. Su Fang shook his head and responded, It's not enough to be ruthless. Next, I'll have to face the fierce revenge of immortal Emperor Tianong. It's a bit troublesome. The third part of the purple Qi Dharma spirit fell into the hands of immortal Emperor Tianong. You become a great enemy of him. Sooner or later, there will be a conflict. Although it's unlikely that immortal Emperor Tianong will attack me personally, I still have to be prepared in advance. I must go to the God Burial Enclosure and get that supreme body as soon as possible. Only then will I have the capital to contend with an immortal emperor. On the way, Su Fang sent a primordial spirit voice to Green Feather King. Where did Senior Kuan Yao go? After a while, Green Feather King said slowly, Senior has fallen. Although he already knew this would be the result, Su Fang still felt a burst of sorrow. Green Feather King continued. Senior knew that his time was up, and he didn't have much time left. Before he fell, he passed on his life's cultivation to this king with the Kuan Peng clan's forbidden technique. This king has strength close to that of a demon emperor and also awakened several innate divine abilities of the Kuan Peng clan. It's Senior who helped me. Su Fang was shocked, and a feeling of admiration arose spontaneously. Su Fang, if there's a chance in the future, you must go to the ancient immortal demon battlefield. In a dangerous place in the immortal demon battlefield, there is the inheritance of the Kuan Peng clan. After getting the inheritance of the Kuan Peng clan, this king will go to the myriad worlds to fulfill Senior's unfulfilled wish. Green Feather King's primordial spirit voice suddenly became cold and full of hatred. It seems that Green Feather King not only obtained Kuan Yao's lice cultivation, but also inherited his last wish, which involved the Kuan Peng clan of the myriad worlds. However, Green Feather King didn't say it clearly, so Su Fang didn't ask. He must go to the ancient immortal demon battlefield. Su Fang asked Xianning Tian, Senior, why did the heavenly law immortal realm suddenly attack you? After a while, Xianning Tian sighed. This immortal domain is in chaos. So, early in the sect, Xianning Tian had faintly received news that the Tranquility Emperor Mansion and the heavenly law immortal realm were going to attack the constellation of 9 heavens. Not only because of the ethereal truth, but also because the leader of the Star Palace had become an immortal emperor. This made the Tranquility Emperor Mansion and the heavenly law immortal realm feel threatened, so they eliminated this hidden danger early. There was another reason, the demon race. Su Fang originally thought that the threat of the demon race was limited to the Demon Dawn competition, but the situation was far more serious than Su Fang expected. According to Xianning Tian, with the 3 changes of heaven and earth, the ancient peerless demons and big goblin of the immortal demon era were resurrected and began to enter the immortal domain. Some sects and cultivation families mysteriously disappeared, most of which were done by these resurrected peerless demons and big goblin. These resurrected demons and big goblin were incomparably powerful, and coupled with the suppression of spiritual energy in the world, the overall strength of the immortal Tao cultivators was also suppressed, making it difficult for them to resist. Therefore, the immortal Tao cultivators were tolerant and cowardly towards the demon race. It was also for this reason that Xuanxin was kidnapped by the demon race, but the higher-ups of the Clear Skies Myriad Scrolls Gate didn't rescue her. The personal grudge between Xianning Tian and Xianlang Immortal Monarch was also one of the reasons. The catastrophe had already begun. In order to deal with it, the powerful forces of the Tranquility Emperor's residence and the heavenly Tao immortal domain began to annex other forces to strengthen themselves. Not only the Star Palace, but the Clear Skies, Myriad Scrolls Gate, and other major forces were also targets of annexation by the immortal Emperor forces, not to mention the other smaller forces. The demon race's invasion hasn't even begun, and the immortal Tao cultivators are already killing each other. This is the so-called righteous Tao. Su Fong sneered in his heart. He once again had a profound understanding of the law of the jungle. He also had a strong sense of urgency to improve his strength as soon as possible. Back to the ruins. The divine light in Xian Yintian's eyes fell on Xuanxin, who was inside the formation. Xuanxin looks like she's about to break through the bottleneck. Xian Yintian's eyes were hale and hearty, and he was pleasantly surprised. Glancing at Su Fong, Xian Yintian's face darkened, and he snorted coldly. "Boy, did you dual cultivate with Xuanxin?" Su Fong was not embarrassed at all. This old man was really straightforward. Why did he even care about his granddaughter's dual cultivation? They were dual cultivation partners. So what was the fuss about dual cultivation? Xian Yintian said resentfully, "I poured so much effort into Xuanxin, but in the end, it was you who benefited." At this moment, a gust of shocking cold air soared into the sky from the formation. And this chill carried a pure, holy, and proud aura, which made people not dare to have the slightest blasphemy. Immediately after, a clear whistle sounded from Xuanxin's body, and the sound spread in all directions. His voice carried a supreme divine might, as if a divine bird had descended upon the world, causing Su Fong to feel a wave of pressure. The great demons under his command lowered their heads one after another, with the intention to submit in their hearts. The bird-type great demons even directly prostrated themselves on the ground, trembling. A white Xian Guang circled around Xuanxin's body, and finally condensed into a translucent divine bird that burrowed into Xuanxin's body. Xuanxin, not only did she break through the bottleneck, but she also cultivated the true form of the Ice Phoenix. Chapter 1254. Ice Phoenix True Body? Su Fong asked, "Senior, what is the Ice Phoenix True Body?" The Ice Phoenix True Body can be called a supreme true body. It is extremely keen and soft, and no one in the entire great immortal realm can compare. Xian Tian raised his white eyebrows, revealing a proud expression. It turned out that when Fairy Xuanxin was just born, her parents were chased by their enemies and fled to the dangerous black ice abyss. They happened to enter the birthplace of the ancient divine beast Ice Phoenix and obtained a piece of Ice Phoenix blood essence. At that time, her parents were seriously injured and knew they didn't have much time left. In order to preserve Xuanxin's life, they fused the Ice Phoenix blood essence with Xuanxin. Then both of them died. Xuanxin was saved by Xian Yintian, who arrived later. Fairy Xuanxin not only had the Ice Phoenix constitution since childhood, but Xian Yintian also specially went out of the immortal realm and found a supreme cultivation method suitable for Xuanxin's constitution in a great world. It was called the Profound Ice Heart Art. To cultivate the Profound Ice Heart Art, one must maintain a pure Tao heart. Because of Yin Sun Shin, Xuanxin's pure Tao heart was left with a shadow, which was why she encountered a cultivation bottleneck and was unable to break through. At this time, Luo Yuyu's voice came from the depths of his body. Fairy Xuanxin does indeed have the aura of an ice phoenix. The ice phoenix is a type of divine beast, a mutant divine beast. Her constitution can be said to be unique in the immortal realm. Moreover, the profound ice heart art she cultivates is also a divine cultivation method passed down from the great immortal realm. However, at this critical moment, Luo Yuyu began to keep him in suspense. Su Fong hurriedly asked, "What? Is there a flaw in Xuanxin's constitution and cultivation method? If it wasn't for your pure yang qi activating her ice phoenix aura during yin and yang dual cultivation, it would be very difficult for her to cultivate the ice phoenix true body. I've also heard of the profound ice heart art. In ancient times, there was a sect called Qin Xian Palace, which was an absolute power of the immortal realm. The profound ice hard art was Qin Xian Palace's supreme cultivation method. However, what Xuanqin cultivates should only be an outer chapter for disciples to cultivate. It's not complete. Countless sects were destroyed, and their inheritances were destroyed. If you go to the immortal demon battlefield, you might be able to find the complete cultivation method. What's the use of the Ice Phoenix true body? Although the true form of the Ice Phoenix is extraordinary, I don't know what specific abilities it has. After all, it's too rare. However, its greatest use is that if you dual cultivate with her, it will bring unexpected benefits to both of your cultivations. Su Feng, you really need to thank me properly. Su Feng asked in surprise. Why should I thank you? Ahem. Nothing. Law coughed a few times and never spoke again. It seems that Law still has something to hide. It is definitely not a good thing. Su Feng was puzzled. Suddenly, Su Feng thought of the mysterious woman in the primordial chaos sacred mirror. Law and the mysterious woman, one stayed in the blood jade, the other in the precious mirror, and they were both equally mysterious, incomparably powerful in the past. Not only did the two of them have so many things in common, Su Feng also came to the conclusion that they both liked to peep at women. Of course, the two of them would never have any other thoughts. With their experiences, most likely all the peerless beauties or peerless geniuses in the heavens would be treated as skeletons by them. If Law's body and primordial spirit are gathered and the mysterious woman also comes out of the mirror, the two of them can be brought together. Su Feng chuckled sinisterly. Law seemed to sense something and couldn't help but shiver in the blood jade. Suddenly, Xian Yintian spat out a mouthful of blood, dyeing his white beard blood red. It turned out that he was chased all the way and didn't have time to recover. Now that he was rescued and suddenly saw that not only did Fairy Xuanqin break through the cultivation bottleneck that had bound her for many years, but also cultivated the true form of the Ice Phoenix, Xian Yintian was shocked and overjoyed. Su Feng hurriedly arranged for Xian Yintian to go into seclusion to recover. He specially took out an ancient spirit vein, as well as many yin-yang immortal sky pellets and spiritual items to heal injuries. He also arranged for experts like the Ba and Mo monarch to guard him. Xian Yintian had a high position in the clear skies Thousand Scrolls door, but he had never received such treatment before. He was comforted and went into seclusion to recover. Su Feng was still worried and entered the formation where Fairy Xuanqin cultivated. Another 3 days later. Hiss! Suddenly, there was a violent wave of cold air on Fairy Xuanqin's body, and then cold air hissed out, forming a layer of ice on her body. Law shouted from the depths of his body. She just cultivated the true form of the Ice Phoenix, and it's hard for her to control it. Hurry up and use your pure yang qi to help her, or she'll be completely devoured by the true form of the Ice Phoenix and become an ice sculpture. Su Feng was about to use the power of the 9 suns when he suddenly got up and quickly created a formation around him. Then, he used a divine art to blind the blood jade from the outside world. Then he used the power of the 9 suns in his body and used the Xian Guang to envelop Fairy Xuanqin, and a shocking amount of yang qi gushed out of his palms. He also used the yang immortal to enter Xuanqin's divine aperture along with the pure yang qi. Fairy Xuanqin's yang immortal was enveloped by a wave of cold yin qi and looked frozen. Su Feng's yang immortal hugged Fairy Xuanqin's yang immortal tightly. The extreme yang qi and the extreme yin qi immediately merged, and the almost frozen yang immortal finally recovered. The situation in his body was almost the same as the divine aperture's ocean. As the two qi merged, Fairy Xuanqin's true form of the Ice Phoenix that had gone out of control gradually calmed down, and yin and yang merged. The two yang immortals hugged each other tightly. In an instant, not only Su Feng, but also Fairy Xuanqin. A wonderful feeling that couldn't be described with words surged in their hearts. The extreme pleasure was like a tidal wave crashing into their hearts. The two of them only wanted to continue like this. Not only their yang immortal, The Taoist robes on their bodies were taken off at some point, and the beautiful yang qi and yin qi intertwined. Just as the two bodies were about to merge completely, Su Fang encountered an obstacle. Fairy Xuanxin's young immortal, who was immersed in the endless beauty, suddenly frowned. Su Fang's body couldn't move forward or backward. Her young immortal woke up. "What's wrong?" "It hurts," Su Fang lamented. "How about next time?" "Next time? This bad guy wants to make me feel pain again?" Fairy Xuanxin's young immortal suddenly opened her mouth and bit Su Fang's shoulder. If it was her physical body, Su Fang wouldn't even frown if she lost a piece of her flesh. But when her young immortal was bitten, a miserable scream sounded. It rushed straight in, breaking through all obstacles. After experiencing the initial pain and awkwardness, the two gradually became more intense. The love and passion in their hearts burst out, and they completely immersed themselves in it, enjoying the bliss of the world. At this moment, their souls and bodies completely merged. The two opened up everything, forgot all restraints, and accepted each other. They didn't possess each other, but gave their hearts to each other. Solitary yin doesn't grow. Solitary yang doesn't grow. This was the process of the development of all things in the world. Su Fang's pure yang qi and Fairy Xuanxin's yin qi attracted each other, fused, and mixed together, causing the two's cultivation and bodies to undergo astonishing changes. Fairy Xuanxin's cultivation was constantly improving, and her Ice Phoenix true body was gradually stabilizing. Su Fang had just obtained a new body not long ago, and after fusing with Xuanxin's pure essence, it was as if it had been nourished by sweet dew, and became even more vigorous. The biggest change was his yin-yang Tao wheel. Not only were his 26 yang meridians more perfect and profound, his yin-yang Tao will also had a kind of endless divine power. After a long time, the two's breathing suddenly became rapid, and a roar like that of a ferocious beast and a delicate cry like that of a phoenix sounded in the array at the same time. At the same time, they opened their eyes and looked at the delicate and flawless face that was as beautiful as a peach blossom. Su Fang hugged her tightly in his arms. Fairy Xuanxin, who usually kept people at arm's length, was like a little bird, unwilling to leave Su Fang's embrace, and quietly enjoying the tranquility and warmth after the storm. After settling down for a while, Xuanxin, "Continue? Bad guy." Once again, they climbed to the clouds. Xuanxin, "No, you tireless big goblin. I didn't say I wanted more. Could it be that you still want it? Bad guy. I mean, you should go see your grandfather." Fairy Xuanxin immediately stood up. "What? When did my grandfather come?" "When you were cultivating in seclusion, I went out to save your grandfather. He was chased by the experts of the heavenly law immortal realm, but I rescued him, and he's recovering in seclusion. You bad guy, think about it later." Fairy Xuanxin stood up, a Taoist robe wrapped around her body. The two of them appeared outside side by side. Many experts, big goblins, as well as many commanders and practitioners, came to greet Su Fang and Fairy Xuanxin, their mistress. Xian Xian Fairy had returned to her usual cold demeanor, but there was a hint of holiness and nobility about her. She was from the Gate of Thousand Scrolls in the clear sky, so she treated people with grace and generosity. She had the demeanor of a mistress of a force. In the following days, it was difficult for Su Fang to have the opportunity to dual cultivate with Fairy Xuanxin. Xian Yintian's injuries were very serious, and Fairy Xuanxin had been guarding him by his side. Su Fang also began to prepare for his trip to the god-burying enclosure. First, he arranged for the great monk, the Ghost Dao's 5 freaks, and other experts to go to the immortal realm to inquire about the movements of various forces, as well as all the information about the god-burying enclosure. Then he began to cultivate. The catastrophe had already begun, and this trip to the god-burying enclosure would not be smooth. Strength was the most important. The focus of cultivation was not only the yellow spring blood sea, 9 yang 9 transformations, ethereal truth, but also the thunder of destiny, which was the key to activating the Xianming Thunder Seal. He also continued to integrate the Heavenly Dipper creation cauldron, Yellow Spring reincarnation sword, Demon Sealing Emperor's heavenly seal, and other powerful Tao artifacts to improve his ability to control them. The Broken Thunder Punishment Cauldron was also being integrated by Su Fong. At the same time, he also cultivated the immortal blood spirit in the Crucible Transformation Cauldron, but he did not refine it. Instead, he tried to use resurrected cultivators to refine corpse puppets. Second primordial spirit in the Heavenly Demon Blood Plate devoured Night Demon bit by bit, and its progress was getting faster and faster. Maintaining his cultivation state, Su Fong separated a part of his consciousness and came to the Yellow Spring Emperor bottle. Red Kite. It turned out that Su Fong wanted to ask about the boundless secular palace. Red Kite respectfully bowed to Su Fong. Red Kite greets young Master Su Fong. Su Fong said indifferently, "I haven't had time to see you since I rescued you from Demon Dawn's stronghold. Let me ask you, how did you fall into the hands of the demon race?" How is it that he didn't have time? Clearly, he wanted to take revenge for being hunted down in the past. Red Kite thought so, but he maintained a respectful expression. "My young master has found the whereabouts of the boundless secular palace. He can enter it after 100 years of preparation. Red Kite went to the clear sky myriad scroll gate to find you, but I didn't expect to fall into the hands of demon path cultivators. I also didn't expect to be rescued by my young master in Demon Dawn's stronghold. You have the whereabouts of the boundless secular palace." Su Fong was pleasantly surprised. The boundless secular palace was related to the origin of the purple Qi law spirit, so he had to go there. Moreover, he had reached a deal with Gongyu, so he didn't expect to receive news so quickly. "You can cultivate here for the time being. It won't be too late to let you out when I see your young master." Su Fong threw Red Kite some medicinal pills and then left the Yellow Spring Emperor bottle space. This woman was vicious and merciless, and the young master of the Divine Palace, Gongyu, also had ulterior motives. Su Fong couldn't let her go back and reveal Su Fong's current strength to Gongyu. Another 3 months or so passed. Chapter 1255. The God Burial Enclosure. It was a huge danger zone outside the immortal domain and was relatively close to the immortal AO Great World. Of course, that was only relative. It would take an average cultivator 20 years to travel from the immortal AO Great World to the God Burial Enclosure, not to mention the various dangers along the way. The ruins Su Fong was in were randomly found by the Koan demon when he traveled through outer space. It was not too far from the God Burial Enclosure, and Su Fong could reach there in 5 or 6 years with the help of the Feather Fan. The God Burying Enclosure was much larger than the desolate swamp astral boundary. It was comparable to an immortal realm within a large world. Because it was barren and lifeless, and because no treasures had been found, very few people visited it. The news of the Divine Billow immortal world had long spread throughout the immortal domain. It was said that an ancient supreme body was sealed in the God Burial Enclosure and attracted countless experts. After a series of in-depth exploration, the God Burial Enclosure's hidden secrets were revealed. It turned out that the God Burial Enclosure was a battlefield during the Great War of Immortals and Demons. Under the Barren Land, there were ruins of the battlefield. In just a few decades, there were constantly cultivators who found Tao weapons, treasures, and cultivation methods left behind from the ancient battlefield under the God Burial Enclosure. Although most of them were incomplete, they were still very valuable. Countless experts from the 8 forces rushed to the God Burial Enclosure. Even if they could not obtain the supreme body, finding some ancient Tao weapons or cultivation methods would be a huge gain. However, the God Burial Enclosure had also become extremely dangerous. Other than the cultivators who killed for treasures and powerful demons and devils, the biggest threat was the influence of the changes in heaven and earth. Some immortal and demon cultivators who died during the Great War of Immortals and Demons were gradually resurrected and were extremely powerful. No one knew how many treasure-seeking cultivators had fallen because of this. These were not enough to pressure Su Fong. What made Su Fong feel even more pressured was that the God Burial Enclosure had been sealed off from the outside. Ordinary sects, family forces, and rogue cultivators were not even qualified to set foot in the god burial enclosure. The demon-sealing imperial heavenly seal is in my hands. Even if you find the supreme ancient body, you won't be able to lift the seal. The supreme body belongs to me, Su Fong, and no one can take it away. Su Fong wasn't too worried. When the time came, he would take it one step at a time. The god-burying enclosure was so big that the 8 forces couldn't completely seal it off. When the time came, he would find a way to sneak into the god-burying enclosure and borrow the demon-sealing emperor's heavenly seal senses to directly find the supreme body. This time, not only did they have to collect the map of the god-burial enclosure, but they also had to investigate the various factions so that they could be prepared. At the same time, they also had to purchase the materials to refine the yin-yang immortal sky pellet. On the ruins, with the help of Su Fong's abundant resources, big goblin and cultivators would break through every few days, causing the ruins to be extraordinarily lively. The supply of yin-yang immortal sky pellets was running out. Su Fong selected more than 100 cultivators who understood the Tao of alchemy from the newly subdued cultivators to join his team of alchemists. Due to the fusion of the world fragments, several powerful big goblins under Su Fong improved rapidly, especially Bai Ling and Green Feather King. Bai Ling had the inheritance of the King of Chaos, so his improvement had been very fast. Green Feather had obtained the essence of the Kunyo and was about to break through to the Demon Emperor realm. At that time, he would have to go through a life and death tribulation to transform into a Demon Emperor. Buzz, in the Crucible transformation world, Su Fong, who was in a state of cultivation, suddenly sensed a movement near the yin-yang Tao wheel. It turned out to be the multicolored stone egg. This thing was obtained from Fairy Xuanxin and was placed in the yin-yang Tao wheel by Su Fong to devour true qi, blood qi, and yang qi. He didn't know what kind of strange beast was bred in the stone egg, but there had been no movement for so many years. This time, a crack appeared on the outside of the stone egg. Although it was just a crack, the multicolored light released from it became even more dazzling. Moreover, he could clearly sense a powerful and vast life aura inside the stone egg. After thinking about it, Su Fong soon understood the reason. According to Luo, the multicolored Xianguang came from the divine phoenix, and the power of transformation fused with the stone egg during its transformation. It was obviously not a coincidence that Fairy Xuanxin could obtain the stone egg in the Phoenix Transformation Canyon in the Huangze astral world, but it was because of her Ice Phoenix physique. When Fairy Xuanxin cultivated the Ice Phoenix true body, and when Su Fong dual cultivated with her, the stone egg also absorbed the Ice Phoenix aura, which caused a huge change. It's not that easy to make the strange beast inside the stone egg break out of its shell. However, this also proves that the life bred in the stone egg is extraordinary. It will definitely surpass the heavenly demon venerable and the pig horse king. I'm really looking forward to what kind of strange beast it is. During this period of time, Su Fong's strength constantly increased. The Thunder Punishment Cauldron had already been completely fused with by Su Fong. He had the power of Thunder Punishment himself, and his purple Qi Law spirit had an amazing ability to control magic treasures. It wasn't difficult for him to fuse with a broken Thunder Punishment Cauldron in a short period of time. This was a supreme Tao tool that could help him cross tribulation, and he might even be able to use it to contend with Huang Lingyao's Cloud Sky Thunder Sword. He also had a deep understanding of the Thunder of Destiny and could already activate the profound Underworld Thunder Seal. However, Su Fong didn't dare to rashly try it. Activating it would consume a massive amount of life aura, and the consequences were very serious. He could only keep it as a life-saving trump card. His body had been reborn, and he had also dual cultivated with Fairy Xuanxin. Astonishing benefits were gradually revealed. Not long after the 26th Yang Meridian was born, the 27th Meridian was also in the process of breaking through. He believed that he wasn't far from the third transformation of the 9 Yang 9 transformations. Before Demon Dawn, the primordial chaos sacred mirror had been used to refine the giant gluttonous demon into a pill. As Su Fong continued to fuse with it, his true energy also increased by leaps and bounds, constantly stepping into the peak of the feather immortal realm. All sorts of other benefits were also constantly revealed. More than a year later, Su Fong flew out of the crucible transformation. As soon as he appeared on the ruins, a burst of tribulation energy erupted from his body. The tribulation fire burned with a whoosh, and then a large amount of impurities overflowed from the outer layers and turned into ashes in the tribulation fire. The pure yang true fire and the illusory fire cloud continued to burn, and his upper body turned into a fiery cloud. The purple Qi Law spirit and the Emperor's seal fused and condensed into a purple gold aura that lingered around him. An astonishing pure yang aura and a supreme ruler's aura made Su Fong look like a god. Many of his subordinates in the distance were shocked when they saw Su Fong break through. Not only were they shocked by Su Fong's improvement, but they were also in awe of Su Fong's explosive aura. It was unknown when Xian Tian had come out of seclusion. He looked at Su Fong and couldn't help but praise. This kid is extraordinary and has great luck on him. Xuanxin, you should cultivate with him more in the future. Not only will it greatly improve your cultivation and the Ice Phoenix true body, but you'll also be affected by his luck. Fairy Xuanxin blushed, but she was reserved by nature and respected Xian Yintian very much. Even if she was angry, she wouldn't refute Xian Yintian's disrespectful words. She focused her attention on Su Fong again. Fairy Xuanxin's eyes were no longer cold. They were filled with infinite gentleness. The tribulation fire burned on Su Fong's body for a few days. Then it gradually disappeared, and an energy surged out of Su Fong's body. Feather deity, fourth Tao realm. When his body calmed down, Su Fong suddenly got up, and an astonishing energy burst out. The domineering aura of an overlord was completely revealed. Master is mighty. The powerful big goblin, masters, and tens of thousands of commanders and cultivators shouted in unison. Su Fong, Xian Tian, and Fairy Xuanxin flew in the sky. Senior. Su Fong clasped his fists and bowed, exchanging a smile with Xian Xian Fairy. Their eyes were filled with affection. Xian Tian snorted coldly. Then he said unhappily, "Call me Grandpa. Is it wrong for young Master Su Fong to call me that?" Su Fong was startled. Then he quickly bowed and said, "Grandpa." From this moment on, Su Fong had two more close relatives. That's more like it. Xian Tian laughed heartily. He was very happy. Su Fong sensed that Xian Tian's injuries were far from healed, but he seemed to be fine for the time being. A celestial lord like Xian Tian wouldn't be injured easily. Once he was injured, he might not be able to fully recover in thousands of years. I've recovered a bit now. This isn't a place to cultivate in seclusion. It's time to go back to the Gate of 10,000 Scrolls, Xian Tian said in a deep voice. Although Xuanxin was a bit reluctant to part with Su Fong, she still said, "I'll go back with Grandpa." Su Fong got rid of the reluctance in his heart and nodded. Be careful of the Tiandao, immortal realm, and the demon race. Try not to leave the sect. I'll pick you up at the Gate of 10,000 Scrolls in a few days. The Tiandao, immortal realm, had already bared its fangs, so the Gate of 10,000 Scrolls wasn't peaceful. Su Fong was a bit worried. He had to establish his own force as soon as possible. At least, he had to have a place to stay. I'll wait for you. Take care. Xuanxin's voice was cold. Her short sentence was filled with endless anticipation and concern. The two lingered in the ruins for a few more days. During this time, Su Fong and Xuanxin also had intimate moments, reaching the peak of bliss time and time again. After saying goodbye, Su Fong looked in the direction where Xuanxin disappeared. He felt a heavy feeling on his body. Luo laughed from the blood jade in the depths of his body. What? You've tasted a woman and can't bear to part with her. Su Fong wasn't in the mood to joke. Luo, suddenly, I seem to understand the meaning of cultivation. Apart from becoming stronger and achieving great things, what else can it be? Don't tell me your Tao heart has been worn down by women? Luo, some of your ideas are very extreme. I think that apart from becoming stronger and becoming an unparalleled expert, there's also responsibility. Great strength is not only used to conquer enemies, but also to protect family and friends. I once said family and friends, but Luo Yu said, then fell silent. For the sake of his people, Senior Kuan Yao passed down all of his cultivation and the essence of his body to the Green Feather King before he died. Su Fong sighed with emotion. Then, his eyes revealed determination. The catastrophe has already arrived. The immortal Tao is facing destruction. All the forces only know how to fight for power and profit, deceiving each other. I, Su Fong, am different from them. If I have enough strength, I will protect the entire human race and not be swallowed by the demon race. Su Juliuo said, my path doesn't suit you. You have your own path to walk. Maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong. Regardless of right or wrong, since you've already decided, don't go against your Tao heart. Persevere all the way. Let's go to the God Burial Enclosure. Chapter 1256. In the cold and desolate void, a figure appeared, stepping on a feather fan as he flew through the dangerous outer space like a bolt of lightning. This was Su Fong, who was hurrying towards the God-burying enclosure. A material continent appeared in the distance. Su Fong steadied himself and put away his feather fan. He released a fire attribute aura that also contained a bit of poisonous gas. He stimulated his mortal body to perfection and changed his appearance. Then he put on a mask. Of course, this wasn't the ghostly Rakshasa, but the bronze mask he had once used in the Divine Wave Nation. The Yellow Springs Blood Sea had already been exposed at Demon Dawn. But the demons thought that Su Fong had already perished. Even if news of this spread to the righteous path influences, they would definitely think that Su Fong no longer existed in this world. Thus, when he went to the God-burying enclosure, Su Fong would definitely reveal his true identity. Instead, he would appear as a disciple of the poison flame cult of the Divine Wave immortal world that had already been destroyed by the demonic path cultivators. Up ahead is Serpentine City. Su Fong flew through the air, straight towards the material continent. This material continent was called the Serpentine Danger Zone because it was covered with deep blue rocks. Because this place wasn't too far from the God-burying enclosure, countless cultivators had gone there in search of treasures these past years. Thus, there were trade associations that established cities here to supplement their cultivators. Of course, they had to collect a massive entrance fee, and the goods here were 3 times more expensive than in a great world. Passing through the turbulent air currents outside the material continent, Lin Ming arrived in front of Serpentine City. After paying 10,000 medium-grade immortal essence pills, he arrived at the main street of the city. He took out a rune symbol and sent out a primordial spirit voice. Great monk, come see me. It turned out that several years ago, Su Fong had sent the great monk Shang to Serpentine City to inquire about information in order to prepare for entering the God-burying enclosure. Although the great monk was greedy by nature and feared death, he was also incomparably slippery. He was suited for such matters. Moreover, the great monk's reputation wasn't small. After being subdued by Su Fong, besides in Demon Dawn's stronghold, he hadn't revealed his identity. As long as he didn't run into any demons from Demon Dawn's stronghold, he would be fine. The great monk soon responded, Master, you finally arrived. After waiting for a while in a restaurant, a monk wrapped in coarse cloth rushed over. Su Fong asked directly, what's the situation in the God-burying enclosure? The 8 forces continue to seal off the periphery of the God-burying enclosure, and they've already set up strongholds on the God-burying enclosure to search for the sealed supreme body. I haven't found anything yet, but I did find a lot of treasures. The monk hadn't wasted his time in the past few years, and he had a clear understanding of the various powers. Which forces? Almost all the top forces of the Tranquility Emperor's Mansion, the Heavenly Law Immortal Realm, and a few big worlds nearby have been mobilized. There are also cultivators of the Demon Tao from other big worlds, such as the forces of Lord Shuiyu and Lord Ichin, but the Demon Clan hasn't shown up yet. After the initial battles, the various powers have reached an agreement. Each of them will occupy a continent in the god burial enclosure. Some of the weaker powers and rogue cultivators will find it difficult to enter. The god burial enclosure is so big. How can these powers seal it off? There are all kinds of dangers in the void around the god burial enclosure. It should be caused by the void shattering during the great immortal demon war. Master will know when you see it. Even experts of the great elders level don't dare to barge in. The various powers only need to occupy some relatively safe places to seal off the god burial enclosure. These powers are really domineering. Su Fong smiled coldly. The great monk quickly showed off, but don't worry, Master. There are also some great powers recruiting experts in Serpentine City. I just passed the selection of the Great Qin Immortal Realms Qin clan and joined the Qin clan. When the time comes, I'll bring Master into the god burial enclosure. Great Qin Immortal Realm Qin clan. Su Fong searched his memories and immediately remembered. The Great Qin Immortal Realm was also a big world in the Immortal Realm, and it was very far away from the Immortal AO Great World. The Great Qin Immortal Realm was also called the Thunder Qin Immortal Realm or the Great Qin Empire because this big world was actually a unified empire, and it was famous in the Immortal Realm for its lightning-type divine arts. In terms of overall strength, the Tranquility Emperor's residence and the Heavenly Tao Immortal Realm were not inferior. However, the Great Qin Immortal Realm's Immortal Emperor Lei Qin was slightly weaker than the Tranquility Emperor and Tian Ong Immortal Emperor, and his reputation was also not as good as these two supreme Immortal Emperors. The Great Qin young master Su Fong Nu and the expert by his side, Qin Xian Feng, were also from the Great Qin Immortal Realm's Royal Qin clan. Moreover, the strange fire, Thunder Fury Explosive Flame, was also in a dangerous place in the Great Qin Immortal Realm. The great monk brought Su Fong to an inn where the Qin clan recruited cultivators. At the entrance of the inn, they were stopped by a Taoist robe with lightning Tao patterns. It was an expert from the Great Qin Immortal Realm. "This is my token." The great monk took out a token and flashed it. The Great Qin Immortal Realm's expert scanned the token with his divine eyes, then looked at Su Fong and said imposingly, "Who is this?" "This is my junior. He will stay with me for a few days. When we go to the god burial enclosure, he will leave." The great monk replied. He was quite bold to act as Su Fong Sr. Su Fong followed the great monk into the inn. A mocking voice sounded. "Great monk, you went out for a trip. Why did you bring your son back?" There were many cultivators recruited by the Great Qin Immortal Realm in the courtyard of the inn. The one who spoke was a burly man with a fierce expression. His words caused a wave of wanton laughter. The great monk Shanda was furious. Su Fong, however, remained calm and collected. He asked the Great Qin Immortal Realm's expert at the entrance, "Can I join the Great Qin Immortal Realm as long as I have a token?" The man was stunned. Those who pass the Great Qin Immortal Realm selection will receive a token. If you can get a token from someone else, you will be qualified to serve the Great Qin Immortal Realm. Before he could finish, Su Fong pointed at the burly man. "Hand over your token and scram." Everyone was stunned. Then, they burst into laughter again. The burly man's cultivation had reached the fourth Tao realm of the world Immortal Realm. He could be considered a grand elder. Although his strength was not the highest among the recruited cultivators, he cultivated a strange divine ability called the Barbarian Elephant Heavenly Armor Technique. Once he activated it, even the sixth Tao realm of the world Immortal Realm would find it hard to shake him. How high was Su Fong's cultivation base? The fourth Tao realm of the Feather Immortal Realm was a whole realm lower than the burly man. How dare he provoke this person? Was he not courting death? What a domineering brat. Don't think that you can be so arrogant in front of me just because you have a big monk as your father. See if I don't cripple you. The burly man let out a hideous grin as he burst out with a green mystic light. A layer of coarse leather armor quickly condensed on his skin, making him look like a ferocious and berserk giant elephant. With a shocking aura, he charged at Su Fong. This person attacked Su Fong not only to punish Su Fong, but also to show off. He hoped to win the favor of the Great Qin Immortal Realm. He might even join the Great Qin immortal realm in the future and have a bright future. He burst out his strength, not to attack Su Fong, but to guard against the big monk. Su Fong's feather immortal realm cultivation base was not worth mentioning at all in his eyes. He was like a weakling. Unexpectedly, the big monk had no intention of attacking. His oily face was full of complacency. "Brat, kneel down and beg for mercy. Otherwise, I will crush your balls." The burly man charged at Su Fong. His fan-like hand carried a powerful aura. It was as if he could smash a mountain with a slap. Puff! Su Fong did not release his aura. Instead, he suddenly opened his mouth and spat out a black flame. This flame was condensed from Su Fong's illusory fire cloud, and it also contained the ghoul eater's poison. Both were extremely powerful, and when the two were combined, their power was multiplied. "You think your little poison flame can break through my divine ability?" The burly man sneered disdainfully. He had no intention of dodging. Unexpectedly, in the next second, chi, 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 the burly man's aura was burned and corroded by the poison flame. It lasted for a moment before it was broken. The poison flame wrapped around his face and quickly spread to his body. The divine ability that was said to be difficult for Grand Elder-level experts to break quickly became riddled with holes. The burly man fell to the ground and struggled, letting out a series of blood-curdling screams. After a while, he stopped moving and no longer made a sound. Su Fong walked up and took the burly man's storage ring. Sure enough, he found the Great Qin Immortal Realm's command medallion inside. "Sir, do I have the qualifications to join the Great Qin Immortal Realm?" Su Fong asked the Great Qin Immortal Realm expert. The latter nodded repeatedly, his eyes filled with shock. The other cultivators were also surprised and shocked. But as it turned out that the Heaven's Secret Life shrinking technique had sensed a familiar aura coming from the sky. Su Fong's eyebrows furrowed. "Immortal Qin?" An old man came to the courtyard. This person was dressed in a black robe and had white hair. There were some strange fangs and stone beads hanging from his body. He was the crazy Immortal Qin who had once tried to snatch the multicolored stone egg from Fairy Xian Xin. Immortal Qin's strength was unfathomable. When Su Fong first saw him, he thought that he was only at the same level as Immortal Changgu. Now, he could see that this person was at least at the fourth Dao realm. The main reason was that this person had domineering thunder techniques. His strength was close to that of an immortal emperor, and even a sixth Dao realm expert might not be his match. Hearing the description of the Great Qin Immortal Realm expert, Immortal Qin's eyes flashed with lightning. He looked up and down at Su Fong. "Poison flame? There don't seem to be many experts who can control poison flames in this immortal realm. I heard that there was a poison flame sect in the Divine Billow immortal realm, but there weren't many experts." Su Fong cupped his fists and said, "I am a disciple of the poison flame sect. Because the sect was destroyed by the cultivators of the demonic mountain, I have been wandering around." Immortal Qin nodded and said in a majestic voice, "Although your cultivation is not high, you have the poison flame divine ability. It will be useful in the God Burial enclosure. If you perform well, you will not only receive various rewards, but it is also possible for you to join the Great Qin Immortal Realms Qin clan." The other cultivators who were recruiting looked envious. Immortal Qin was one of young Master Qin's people. To be able to get his recognition and join the Qin clan, this kid was really lucky. Su Fong was ecstatic. "Thank you, sir." He became an expert recruited by the Great Qin Immortal Realms Qin clan. After staying at the inn, Su Fong asked the monk to guard outside while he entered the Crucible Transformation Realm to cultivate. After staying in Serpentine City for 3 months, Immortal Qin left Serpentine City with more than 300 recruited experts and went straight to the God Burial enclosure. 1 year later, a gigantic and boundless floating object silently appeared in void space. It stretched as far as the eye could see, and layers of star fog were stirred up by a formless power, forming violent star fog currents around the continent. This also covered the continent with a mysterious and terrifying veil. Immortal Qin led the recruited experts and flew towards the area controlled by the Great Qin Immortal Realm. Buzz, suddenly, some Tao runes from the heaven's secret life shrinking technique appeared in his mind. He actually sensed a few familiar auras. Young Master Qin, Dragon Xiaojun, Huang Lingyao. How did the heavenly Tao Immortal Realm and the Great Qin Immortal Realm come together? Chapter 12:57. In the void outside the God-burying enclosure. Many experts surrounded young Master Qin, Long Xiaojun, and Huang Lingyao, preparing to enter the God-burying enclosure. Huang Lingyao didn't seem to have changed much. There was a supreme arrogance in her coldness, as if she was the only existence in this void. Even Long Xiaojun and young Master Qin next to her paled in comparison. Su Fangdao's perfect eye power could see sparkling sword qi swimming in Huang Lingyao's deep and empty aura. Clearly, she had fused with the Yunxiao Thunder Sword to an astonishing degree. What surprised and shocked Su Fang even more was that there was a dragon qi on her body. There were actually dragon shadows coiling in the sword qi. Huang Lingyao's Tao body is indeed extraordinary. Not only can she subdue the Yunxiao Thunder Sword, but she can also absorb dragon qi. Her Tao body's ability makes it so that even I can't see through her cultivation. I reckon that if she uses the Yunxiao Thunder Sword, she can easily kill a powerful Grand Elder and even pose a great threat to immortal emperors. This woman's growth is simply astonishing. Su Fang was secretly shocked. Luo's voice came from the depths of his body. Huang Lingyao is indeed a genius, and her Tao heart is ruthless, scheming, and unfathomable. Do you feel pressured? Su Fang replied proudly. Pressured? Just a little. But she's growing quickly. Am I not? My physical body has been reborn in the power of the thunder punishment, and with the underworld reincarnation sword and the Xianming lightning scroll, I can completely suppress this woman, let alone my second primordial spirit. Why should I be afraid of her? It's just that she has the heavenly Tao Immortal Realm behind her, so she can't find a chance to attack. Otherwise, I would definitely kill her. Huang Lingyao seemed to sense something. Her body suddenly stopped, and her cold gaze suddenly swept over. Su Fang quickly looked away, and at the same time, secretly used the heaven's secret life shrinking technique to conceal his aura. Junior Sister Huang, what's wrong? Long Xiaojun asked with concern. When the fourth sun rose, this person was affected by the changes in heaven and earth. Her dragon qi went berserk, and she almost lost control. Now, she didn't seem to have any abnormalities. Instead, her cultivation improved. Nothing. Huang Lingyao retracted his gaze and said faintly, "The cultivators recruited by the Great Qin Immortal Realm this time are somewhat uneven in strength. I'm afraid they won't be of much use in the ancient Immortal Tomb." Great Qin's young master smiled elegantly. These people were only recruited to clean up the outskirts of the Immortal Tomb, so of course they won't be of much use. Don't worry, Miss Huang. This time, the Qin clan and the Heavenly Law Immortal Realm will join hands and sweep through the God-burying enclosure. We'll get the Supreme Body in one fell swoop and make the Tranquil Emperor's Mansion and the other 8 forces return empty-handed. The voices gradually faded away as the group of people stepped into the thick gray clouds and disappeared without a trace. Only then did Su Fang pay attention to the void around the enclosure of gods. The enclosure of buried gods was shrouded in gray clouds and looked somewhat similar to the astral plane of Huangze. However, there were not only lightning and thunder in the gray clouds, but also space-time rips and vortexes. They looked like the mouths of monsters. It was a shocking sight. There were also space-time rips and vortexes that were pulled into a large-scale state of distortion. These were all caused by the shattering of the void during the Great War of the Immortals and Demons. Under Qin Xianfeng's lead, the many cultivators who had been recruited followed a relatively simple path and slowly flew towards the enclosure of gods. Su Fang sensed that there was almost no trace of heaven and earth spirit qi in the surroundings. The energy was chaotic, and there was a deathly aura. With so many factors added together, the outside of the enclosure of gods was filled with danger. Therefore, there weren't many safe areas that could enter the enclosure of gods, and they were all controlled by the eight forces. It took about 10 days to pass through the gray clouds and nebulae. Only then did the clear appearance of the enclosure of gods appear in front of them. The god burial enclosure was an extremely vast continent. As far as the eye could see, it was boundless and desolate. There were also mountain ranges, forests, and rivers. However, it gave off a deathly feeling, as if it was a huge graveyard. A godly might like that of a death god enveloped the entire continent, causing cultivators to be shackled and their cultivations to be severely suppressed. Among these recruited cultivators, some of the weaker ones even found it difficult to fly. Their cultivations were suppressed by 2 or 3 small realms. After entering the enclosure of gods, they flew for another half a month before finally arriving at a barren plain called Death Return Plain. The enclosure of gods was now occupied by 8 powerful forces. The immortal emperor's forces occupied the largest area. They set up camps and searched for treasures left behind from the ancient war of immortals and demons. The most important thing was, of course, the place where the supreme body was sealed. The Great Qin Celestial World and Heaven Dao Celestial World's camps had more than 10,000 cultivators. Most of them were Xian immortals, disciples of the two forces. There were also some recruited cultivators. Although there weren't many, they were all feather immortals and world immortals. According to Qin Xianfeng, the two forces had more than 10 camps like this on the enclosure of gods. Su Fong used his peak power and felt a shocking aura. He couldn't help being shocked. In the camp, other than the 6 Dao realm elders, there was an 8 Dao realm celestial emperor. He was even stronger than Long Lingjun. From the lightning element aura he had, he should be in celestial emperor from the Great Qin Celestial World. Although I have the demon sealing emperor heavenly seal, the enclosure of gods is too big. I won't be able to find it in a short time. I'll stay here for now and familiarize myself with the enclosure of gods, Su Fong thought. About 2 months later, Immortal Qin gathered all the cultivators who were recruited and gave the order to the upper echelons of the Great Qin Celestial World to enter an ancient immortal tomb. As for what the mission was, he did not go into detail. Su Fong had already used his peak power to find out why the two forces were here. It turned out that the Great Qin Celestial Realm and the Heavenly Dao Celestial Realm had discovered an ancient spatial formation under the Land of Death that led directly to an ancient tomb. After many years of searching, they determined that an expert of the immortal path who had fallen during the Great War of the Immortals and Demons was buried in the tomb. Before the Heavenly Dao Celestial World came to the God Burial Enclosure, they sent experts to the God Billow Immortal World to collect the blood essence of the God Billow Nation's imperial family. With the blood essence as the source, they used supreme abilities to sense the powerful physical body of the God Billow Nation's imperial family ancestor. The tomb under the enclosure of gods resonated with the blood essence of the God Billow Nation's imperial family. The possibility of a supreme physical body being sealed in the tomb wasn't high, but it was at least an imperial family ancestor of the God Billow Nation. There would definitely be treasures inside, and they might even be able to find clues about the supreme physical body. The cultivators of the two forces and the recruited experts came to a place 1,000 miles away from the camp. The immortal emperor of the Qin family, Huang Lingyao, Long Xiaojun, and young Master Qin all moved out. A huge pit more than 100 feet deep had been dug into the ground, revealing an altar at the bottom with complicated and mysterious immortal marks. Su Fong slightly activated the Heaven Secret Life shrinking technique. But all of a sudden, he sensed an aura. Su Fong was pleasantly surprised to find that the aura was the Demon Sealing Emperor's heavenly seal, which was resonating with the Heaven Secret Life shrinking technique. Could it be that the immortal tomb is really connected to that supreme physical body? Su Fong was extremely surprised in his heart. Recruiting cultivators, get down first. The immortal emperor of the Great Qin Celestial World said in a majestic voice. This person had tall eyebrows and a square face, and he had a dignified aura. The recruited cultivators all had extraordinary strength and were all experts who had experienced countless storms. How could they not understand the great Qin celestial world's intentions? They were clearly going to use these recruited cultivators as cannon fodder to explore the way. Suddenly, they all hesitated. The great monk secretly transmitted the voice of his nascent spirit. Master, this ancient tomb must be incomparably dangerous. Going in first is equivalent to courting death. What should we do? Su Fang replied indifferently. It's okay. Just act according to the circumstances. The great monk knew that Su Fang had all kinds of supreme divine abilities. Seeing him so calm, he was relieved. What? You've taken the Qin family's benefits, but in the end, you don't want to do anything? The immortal emperor of the Qin family raised his eyebrows. Lightning seeped out of his eyes, and an astonishing lightning-attributed divine might enveloped the recruited cultivators. An expert said loudly, although we've taken the Qin family's rewards, they didn't say that we're here to die. At most, we don't want the rewards and just leave. You think you can come and go as you please? What do you think the Qin family is? The immortal emperor of the Qin family didn't even finish his words and didn't make any hand seals. A violent lightning technique with an astonishing destructive aura bombarded the person who spoke. This person didn't even have time to activate his defense and was instantly turned into ashes. Such a powerful lightning-attributed divine ability. Such a domineering Qin family. The recruited cultivators naturally didn't dare to object anymore. They all flew towards the altar below. As soon as the cultivator at the front got close to the altar, the immortal mark on it exploded with twisted light. It formed a spatial airflow and swept this cultivator away. Spatial formation? Strange, since it's an immortal tomb. Why would there be a spatial array set up specifically to allow people to enter and rob tombs? Su Fang was very surprised. Luo's voice came from the blood jade. This is a one-way spatial formation. Obviously, this immortal tomb was built in the depths of the god burial enclosure. However, even in the ancient times, cultivators with spatial formations were very rare. It's indeed very strange to build one outside an immortal tomb. This immortal tomb isn't simple. Soon, it was Su Fang's turn. The moment he entered the formation, the monk grabbed Su Fang's arm and was sucked into the formation along with Su Fang. A spatial twisting force wrapped around his body, and he crazily fell. With a sense of weightlessness, Su Fang's cannonball fell to the ground and shattered a large circle of rocks on the ground. Luckily, Su Fang's body was stronger than before. He was only shaken to the point that his blood was churning. Even the monk was shaken to the point of vomiting blood. The other cultivators who went in first were even seriously injured. When he sat up, he found that he was in a spacious cave. There were rocks all around him, and from some of the cracks in the rocks, there was a cold wind blowing in. As Luo said, this was the depths of the god burial enclosure. More than 1,000 feet in front of him, there was a stone door between the cold rocks. He didn't know what was behind it. Lifelike stone statues stood guard in front of the tomb. Judging from their clothes, they were cultivators of the ancient immortal Tao. Beneath his feet was a thick layer of bone ash. There were also bones that hadn't completely weathered, tattered robes, and even Tao weapons. Buzz buzz. Tao runes suddenly surged in his mind. Su Fang released his senses and found the presence of the demon sealing emperor's heavenly seal on the stone door and inside it. There's a seal left behind by the demon sealing emperor's heavenly seal on the stone door. It's the same inside the stone door. What's buried in this immortal tomb? Su Fang was puzzled. Chapter 1258. The shrill scream attracted everyone's attention. It turned out that a cultivator had tried to fly directly to the stone gate, but he hit something and his body was cut in half. He fell to the ground, but he was still alive and kept screaming. There were more than 300 cultivators who had entered the immortal graveyard, and there were also more than 500 experts from the Great Qin celestial world and the heavenly Tao celestial world. All of them were scared out of their wits, and they didn't dare to act rashly. Some of the cultivators who were searching for treasures on the ground found that many of the Tao treasures buried in the ashes were incomplete. Some of them had very smooth cuts on them, while others were badly distorted. The powerful Tao treasures from the ancient era were like children's toys. They were cut into pieces by a knife or crushed into a ball by a big hand. This is what happens when you don't listen to orders. Around the immortal graveyard, the ancient experts used their supreme divine skills to tear or distort the space and form a boundary. Different from other chaotic spaces, there is no airflow, so you can't see or sense it. Running around is equivalent to courting death. The one who spoke was a top grand elder from the Heaven Path White Sun sect. He was only one step away from the Six Paths realm of the world immortal and becoming a celestial lord. Whoosh! Everyone was surprised and shocked. What kind of terrifying divine skill was it to be able to knead a space as if it was mud? Your task is to constantly explore the places where there are spatial tears or distortions on the way to the stone gate. The first one to reach the stone gate will be rewarded with a peak supreme grade supreme Taoist artifact and 1,000 supreme grade elixirs. The others will also be rewarded with Taoist artifacts. If you are afraid of death and cower in fear, the red-haired elder's eyes shone with a fierce light, which swept across the cultivators who had been recruited, making them feel a great pressure. You are really just cannon fodder to explore the way. Su Fong sneered in his heart. He secretly activated his perfect eye power to observe the space in front of him. Because there was no airflow, Su Fong could barely see some vague tears or distortions in front of him. However, it was not difficult to find a relatively safe path. Remember, don't try to use your divine ability or aura to probe and attack. That will cause the space barrier to change. Not only will you be unable to explore the path, but it will also cause the space to tear and distort to become more complicated. A group of 10 people will explore the path from different directions. As long as you advance a distance of 10 feet, you can take a break and wait for the next round. The red-haired old man said in a majestic voice, recruiting cultivators to explore the path in batches. Su Fong was arranged to be at the back. While the others were not paying attention, he directly took the great monk into the crucible transformation space within his body. The cultivators who were exploring the path used all kinds of divine abilities. Some released the big goblin, while others used all kinds of sensing divine abilities. They moved toward the stone door from all directions, trembling with fear. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, they only managed to advance a distance of 10 feet before the first batch of 10 people had all fallen. The second batch of cultivators took even longer, but they managed to explore a shorter distance. They were only 60 to 70 feet away before they all perished in the spatial distortion zone. Only then did everyone understand where the thick layer of bone ashes on the ground came from. Apparently, many people had entered this place a long time ago, trying to enter the immortal tomb. However, none of them could even touch the edge of the stone door. Su Fong also noticed that among the skeletons in front of him, there were many bones of devil race cultivators that had not yet weathered. There were also devil artifacts and devil races costumes. Apparently, it was not only the immortal Tao cultivators who entered this place. After nearly 100 cultivators fell, they finally managed to advance a distance of more than 1,000 feet. This was all thanks to a cultivator controlling a wood-type big goblin, which transformed into a vine. In one breath, they managed to explore a safe path of more than 60 feet. However, the big goblin also suffered heavy injuries and was unable to move forward. After this cultivator came back, the red-haired old man immediately rewarded him with a top-quality Tao artifact and thousands of medicinal pills. During this period, there were also some cultivators who wanted to escape. However, there was only a one-way space array formation to enter this place. Moreover, the two forces also had supreme powerhouses overseeing them. So, where could they escape to? There was still a distance of more than 1,000 feet to reach the stone door. Once they reached it, almost none of these cultivators would be able to survive. You guys go. Finally, it was Su Fong's turn. A group of 20 people followed the marks left behind by the cultivators in front of them and arrived at a distance of more than 1,000 feet. Just as they were about to split up and explore the path, a white-robed cultivator suddenly formed a seal. An astonishing aura that resembled a whirlpool of water erupted and swept up a cultivator beside him, sending him flying forward. Chi! That cultivator crashed into an invisible space distortion zone. His body was twisted into a pool of blood on the spot and scattered on the ground. The others were all shocked, and one after another, they fled backwards. Not only was the white-robed cultivator's cultivation level at the realm of the fifth Tao realm, he was also proficient in water magic. He swept up the bodies of 3 cultivators and threw them forward, creating a safe path of about 70 to 80 feet. "It's your turn, kid." The white-robed cultivator grinned at Su Fong and was about to attack Su Fong. Unexpectedly, Su Fong directly rushed forward. He looked like a frightened duck, darting a few steps to the east and a few steps to the right. After a while, he leaped upwards. In the blink of an eye, he had already covered a distance of more than 100 feet. Surprisingly, he did not encounter any spatial tear or distortion zone. This person is not simple. The people behind were shocked and surprised. Even the red-haired old man was surprised. "I didn't expect a weakling at the realm of the Feather Immortal to have such ability. It's good that you're leading the way, so I don't have to waste my magic power." The white-robed cultivator was not surprised at all. Then, he chased after Su Fong. Su Fong pushed his perfection ability to the extreme. Together with the life-shrinking technique, he could clearly sense the fatal danger to other cultivators. He could find a safe path and soon left the white-robed cultivator more than 300 feet behind. In the beginning, the white-robed cultivator was able to remember the route that Su Fong had taken. However, it did not take long for him to find it hard to do so. The white-robed cultivator sneered and sent out a clump of water. After a series of ripples, the water clump transformed into a transparent humanoid made of water, which swallowed the white-robed cultivator. Next, the humanoid figure transformed into a stream of water and charged forward. When he encountered spatial tears or distortion zones, the water stream was cut and torn. However, even if the water stream was twisted into droplets of water, it could quickly condense and move forward much faster than Su Fong. "What is that? Luo, do you know?" Su Fong was dumbfounded. "That's a type of water-type spiritual creature. It cultivates and turns into a spirit. It's somewhat similar to a woolen goblin. However, this water-type spirit is even rarer than a woolen goblin. At least, I've never seen it before. I've only heard of it. This water-type spirit can freely transform into various forms of water. It's very difficult to kill unless you use the fire-type divine power to completely evaporate its life force." Luo replied in the blood jade in his body. Then, Luo reminded Su Fong, "You have the supreme fire-type divine power. It's not difficult to deal with this water-type spirit. Hurry up and think of a way to escape." Seeing that the water-type spirit was about to catch up, Su Fong did not dare to be careless. He activated the life-shrinking technique and the perfection ability. At the same time, he used the fire cloud steps. His speed suddenly increased, and only then did he pull away. At this time, the red-haired old man behind him said loudly, "You too, please leave a mark along the way. When we enter the immortal tomb and obtain the treasure, we will definitely reward you too handsomely." Su Fong did not say a word and lowered his head to move forward. From the water-type spirit's body came the white-robed cultivator's wild laughter. "Humph, the great Qin immortal world and the heavenly Tao immortal world, all the treasures in the immortal tomb belong to me. You still want me to be your cannon fodder? Dream on." The red-haired old man was angry and anxious. This person has such an extraordinary water-type spirit. It's very likely that he will enter the immortal tomb and escape through the cracks in the surrounding rocks. No, I have to inform the outside world and ask the Qin family's immortal emperor to take action and forcefully break through the spatial tears and distortions in front of us to stop this person from entering the immortal tomb. In less than half an incense stick's worth of time, Su Fong successfully broke through the dangerous area. In front of him was an open space of more than 100 feet. The ground was covered with black stone bricks. With a sweep of his perfection ability, there were no spatial tears or distortions, nor were there any other dangers. Su Fong stepped on the black brick. Who would have thought that a huge pressure would envelop his body from all directions? It was as if a towering mountain was pressing down on him. Su Fong's legs went soft, and he directly knelt on the ground. The bones in his body crackled and popped, and countless blood vessels burst. Not only his physical body, but even the circulation of his true chi became very difficult. Damn it! What the hell is this place? Su Fongdao was shocked. The blood jade in his body mocked. This is a type of spatial magic, the gravity field. Not only can it release a huge gravitational pressure, but it can also suppress and distort all kinds of magic. The master who created this immortal tomb must be good at controlling space. Not only can he tear and distort space, but he can also create a gravitational space. It's very extraordinary, very extraordinary. Su Fong did not have time to pay attention to Law's praise. He fully activated his perfection body and used the blood transformation true body. The blood transformation ability caused the energy in his body to explode. Swoosh, swoosh. Waves of blood patterns drilled out of his flesh and densely covered his skin. An evil chi burned, and two domineering, sharp, and solid blood horns suddenly spurted out from the lower part of his shoulders. At this time, Su Fong looked like a peerless heavenly demon. There was no trace of the shape and aura of a righteous cultivator. With the help of the blood transformation true body's physical strength, Su Fong stood up and took a few steps forward. Although it was not easy, he could finally move forward. Heavenly demon! A demon sneaked in. The crowd behind burst into exclamations. They were shocked and surprised. The white-robed cultivator, who followed to the edge of the gravitational area, came out of the water spirit's body. When he saw Su Fong in his blood transformation true body state, he was also shocked. Then he sneered disdainfully. I actually misjudged. It's a heavenly demon. But so what? You can transform into a heavenly demon. I have a water spirit. It's easy to pass through here. He was swallowed by the water spirit again. The water spirit turned into a stream of water and flowed forward along the ground. The huge gravitational pressure made the water spirit completely stick to the stone bricks, but it still flowed forward slowly. Its speed was even faster than Su Fong's. What a strange water-type spiritual monster. After a dozen breaths, the stream of water caught up with Su Fong. The white-robed cultivator's proud voice came out. You should be a real heavenly demon from the demon world. You also want to get the treasures in the immortal tomb. Unfortunately, you met me. Not only will you not get the treasures in the immortal tomb, but you will also die in my hands. Ha! Su Fong suddenly turned around. His blood-red eyes burned with a bloody light. Then he said in a cold voice, You think you can do anything just because you have a water spirit? You won't get the treasures in the immortal tomb. And your life and your water spirit will also belong to me. As soon as his voice fell, Su Fong's upper body turned into a blazing flame. A supreme fire elemental divine power exploded. He was like a fire demon god. He was mighty and terrifying. Chapter 1259. How can a heavenly demon have such a terrifying fire element divine power? The white-robed cultivator screamed in horror from the water-type spirit. The fire element divine power was the water-type spirit's fatal nemesis. It directly threatened its life essence. Moreover, the fire element divine power that Su Fong released was extraordinary. It contained the illusory fire cloud and pure yang divine power, as well as the ghoul's poison. Although it was suppressed by the gravitational field, it was still very powerful. Su Fong had devoured Yu Jingnian's Dao body, and his physical body had been reborn in the power of the thunder punishment. He had also dual cultivated with fairy Xuanxin, so their physical abilities had fused. Under the state of blood transformation true body, he could use the illusory fire cloud at the same time. Not only did they not affect each other, but they also complemented each other. Sizzle. The water-type spirit monster was enveloped by Su Fang's fire elemental divine aura. It could only last for less than a breath before it began to sizzle and emit white smoke. The water-like spirit monster's body kept shrinking into a ball of water that was about 10 feet in size. It rolled and fluctuated, looking like it was in great pain. The white-robed man came out of the water-type spirit's body and immediately released a water-type aura. He charged towards Su Fang, intending to kill Su Fang and resolve the crisis of the water-type spirit. This person's cultivation was very high, and his divine power was strange and shocking. However, the white-robed cultivator neglected one thing. This area had extremely terrifying gravitational shackles. Even Su Fang's perfected physical body could barely withstand it and had to use his blood transformation true body. This person's physical body was far inferior to Su Fang's, and his cultivation was also suppressed. He was immediately pressed to the ground. His defensive power was shattered, and his physical body was collapsing everywhere. Even if he had heaven-defying divine power, he could not use it. Sizzle, sizzle. The white-robed cultivator's physical body was burning and corroding, but he still persevered and stood up shakily. Su Fang spread out his arms, and his entire body was filled with ferocious divine power. A pair of bloody horns grew out from his shoulders, and with a puff, the horns pierced into the white-robed cultivator's chest, shattering his body. Taking advantage of this, the water-type spirit, which had shrunk to half its original size, desperately rolled out of the gravitational field. You still want to escape? A gray light suddenly flashed in Su Fang's eyes and wrapped around the water-type spirit. It turned out that it was the second primordial spirit that attacked with supreme primordial energy. Although this water attribute spiritual monster possessed a peculiar water attribute innate skill, its consciousness was still very weak. How could it withstand the second life essence's supreme divine might? It immediately fell to the ground before Su Fang directly pulled it into the crucible transformation space. Su Fang stepped out of the gravity domain and exited his blood transformation true body state. He returned to his normal state and strode towards the stone door. The red-haired old man from the White Sun sect roared, "Not good. He's about to enter the immortal tomb. Don't worry, there's so many puppets refined from the bodies of ancient cultivators in front of the stone door, and the seal on the stone door isn't something a celestial demon of his level can open." A majestic voice resounded. So it turned out that the immortal emperor of the Qin clan had also arrived at the immortal tomb. Huang Lingyao, Long Shao Jun, the great Qin prince, and the peerless experts of the two factions also entered. Su Fang activated his great perfection stage ability and walked to the center of the stone statues in front of the stone door. Suddenly, he stopped in his tracks. The lifelike stone statues were suddenly filled with death chi. Their originally rock-like bodies began to move, layer by layer falling off and turning into corpses. Law reminded him through the blood jade in his body, "Be careful, these are the corpse refining puppets I told you about before. They're different from the demonic puppet soldiers. Corpse refining puppets are refined from the corpses of dead, immortal Tao cultivators. Although their attack method is simple, their corpses have been tempered by countless spiritual objects and are as tough as a Tao artifact. These corpse refining puppets are no weaker than ordinary elders." "These are corpse refining puppets?" Su Fang curiously looked at the puppets. He originally planned to subdue a few of them and study them carefully. But when he saw the Qin clan's immortal emperor appear, he immediately activated the Heaven's Secret Life shrinking technique, completely concealing his true qi, primordial spirit, life, and other auras. Unable to sense Su Fang's aura, the corpse refining puppets returned to their original state. Under everyone's gaze, Su Fang calmly walked to the stone door. How is this possible? The corpse refining puppets didn't attack him? The people behind, including the Qin clan's immortal emperor, were surprised and shocked. "You dare to take the treasures of the great Qin immortal world and the heavenly Tao immortal world? You're courting death." The Qin clan's immortal emperor snorted coldly. Lightning burst out from his body, forming an imposing aura. He took a step forward and rushed towards the stone door. Boom! Boom! They collided with the Qin clan's immortal emperor's lightning defense, causing a huge collapse and explosion. Waves of shocking spatial turbulence, spatial distortion, and terrifying vibrations swept the Qin clan's immortal emperor away. Although the immortal emperor was powerful, he couldn't walk calmly here. The lightning around his body was torn apart. Then, a lightning immortal armor appeared on his body. There were immortal runes with ancient aura on it, which protected him until he walked out. This person also paid a heavy price for this. The immortal runes on his immortal armor were shattered, and the lightning dimmed. Obviously, he had suffered a lot of damage. After walking out of the spatial distortions, he spat out a mouthful of blood. His imposing aura suddenly weakened. Staring at the gravity domain ahead, this immortal emperor had a look of trepidation on his face. He stared at Su Fong and spoke in a cold voice. There's an ancient seal on the stone gate. Given your strength, it's impossible for you to open it. I advise you to turn around now and kowtow to this emperor. Maybe this emperor might spare your life. Su Fong walked to the stone door as if he didn't hear it. The Qin clan's immortal emperor revealed a fierce, killing intent. Then he sat down cross-legged outside and swallowed a pill to heal his injuries. With the help of the immortal emperor's great perfection stage and the life shrinking technique, Su Fong carefully sensed the seal on the stone door. These ancient seals were created by the demon sealing emperor's heavenly seal. This was absolutely certain. At this time, Su Fong could already activate the demon sealing emperor's heavenly seal. It was not difficult to use this seal to directly break the seal. The problem was that once the demon sealing emperor's heavenly seal was exposed, the 8 forces of the God Burial enclosure would come to hunt him down and snatch the seal. After settling down for a while, Su Fong turned around and created a formation. It was not used for defense or attack, but to block sight. Then, he used the life-shrinking technique to obscure all auras in the surrounding area, so that no one could sense what was happening in front of the stone door with their primordial spirit. Next, Su Fong took out the demon sealing emperor's heavenly seal and formed a seal to activate the seal. Qi, an aura of deduction and disintegration burst out. A golden Xian Guang formed by countless Dao runes shot out from the demon sealing emperor's heavenly seal and landed on the stone door. Chi chi chi, under the golden light. The seal on the stone door was quickly disintegrated into immortal runes. The seal was broken. Breaking through the layers of seals took more than 10 breaths of time. When the last seal was broken, the stone door opened. Su Fong used his great circle perfection stage ability and the heaven's secret life shrinking technique to scan the inside. His eyes were filled with shock as he strode in. The Qin clan celestial emperor outside the gravitational field was disdainful when he saw Su Fong creating a formation to conceal the entrance. Then he used his primordial spirit to sense the entrance. Disbelief immediately appeared on his face. His sensing ability seemed to be blocked by a mysterious force, or perhaps there was nothing inside. How is this possible? The Qin clan celestial emperor was not the only one who thought this. The other experts behind him also had the same thought. The Qin clan celestial emperor gritted his teeth and got up from the ground. He ignored his injuries and stepped into the gravitational field. Just like the white-robed cultivator, the celestial emperor of the Qin clan had underestimated the terrifying power of the gravitational field. As soon as he stepped on the black brick ground, his body sank and he fell to his knees. Then, he coughed out another mouthful of blood. Although the strength of a celestial emperor was shocking and his body was stronger than other cultivators, he was still a far cry from Su Fong's great perfection stage physical body. Moreover, Su Fong had also used his blood transformation true body. Damn it, why is there such a terrifying gravitational force? Get up! The Qin clan celestial emperor roared furiously. Along with the rumbling of thunder, a terrifying aura burst out, forcefully repelling the terrifying gravitational force from all directions. Then, he slowly stood up. With lightning circling around him, he walked toward the stone door step by step. It took him the time it took for an incense stick to burn to cover the distance of more than 300 meters. When he walked out of the gravitational field, he felt exhausted and his injuries had worsened. Sensing the Qin clan celestial emperor's aura, the refined corpse puppets began to move. He couldn't help but smile bitterly. If it was during normal times, no matter how many elders there were, the Qin clan celestial emperor would be able to wipe them all out. How can the treasures of the great Qin immortal world and the heavenly Tao immortal world fall into the hands of the heavenly demon? Senior Qin, let me give you a hand. Asterisk Qi. Asterisk, it turned out that Huang Lingyao had activated the Cloud Sky Lightning Sword, setting off a shocking aura. A lightning sword Qi swam around her like a lightning snake. Wherever it went, the spatial forces would shatter. Although Huang Lingyao's pace was slow and her face was pale, she was calm and unhurried. Her face was filled with supreme arrogance, and her long hair was fluttering in the wind. Relying on the supreme divine might of the Cloud Sky Lightning Sword, Huang Lingyao passed through the spatial rifts and distortions. Her body was trembling slightly. It seemed that she had consumed a lot of energy. After entering the gravitational field, Huang Lingyao released her dragon qi again. Her body instantly became extremely strong. With the help of the supreme sword qi of the Cloud Sky Lightning Sword, she resisted the terrifying pressure and passed through in one fell swoop. Her speed was even faster than the Qin clan Celestial Emperor. What an amazing Cloud Sky Lightning Sword. There was a powerful Huang Lingyao. After entering the stone door, Su Feng naturally didn't know what happened next. He activated the Demon Sealing Emperor's heavenly seal again and sealed the stone door again. Then, he directly headed to a small altar in front of him. It turned out that behind the stone door was not a tomb, but a cave with an area of 10 feet. Gray clouds floated in the cave. When it landed on the body, it was sticky and immediately corroded the skin. It was a poisonous gas that Su Feng had never seen before. This is the demon corroding poison. It's a poison that is specially used to restrain the demon race. Even a demon race expert like the Dark Jade Demon Emperor would lose a layer of skin if he touched it. What's more, this poison not only corrodes the demon race's physical body, but also the primordial spirit. Law reminded from the depths of his body. Su Feng was shocked. He felt that if he let the ghost swallow the poison, this poison gas would be fatal to the demon race and also very toxic to immortal Tao cultivators. It was simply a supreme delicacy to the ghouls. At the same time, he released Dai Yong. This person's cultivation was also based on poison. This poison gas would definitely be beneficial to his cultivation. If he collected more and gave it to the Lord of Five Poisons in the future, it would also be of great help to his cultivation of the Five Poisons real body. If he used it to deal with the demon race, Law said in surprise, the demon corroding poison is very precious. I didn't expect there to be so much here. It seems that this is not an immortal tomb. Let's see what's on the altar first. Su Feng walked up to the altar. Chapter 1260. The so-called immortal tomb didn't have any coffins, but only a 10 feet high altar. The marks on the altar were intertwined, forming a powerful ancient seal. On top of the altar, there was a 3 feet square pool. Of course, it wasn't water in the pool, but a black liquid. It was all condensed by devil-corroding poison qi. Luo clicked his tongue in the depths of his body. Su Feng, your luck is too good. This is definitely a sharp weapon to deal with the devil race. As long as you use it well, the venom can even kill an immortal emperor expert of the devil race. Even a peak immortal emperor expert like Dark Venerable Bai Yu can pose a great threat to him. Just this pool of devil-corroding poison qi is comparable to a king grade Dao tool, and it's even more valuable than that. More valuable than a king grade Dao tool? Luo, you're exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating at all. Think about it. A king grade Dao tool can be refined after all, but devil-corroding poison qi is naturally produced. The more it is used, the less it will be. Especially this kind of poison condensed from devil-corroding poison qi, it's even more precious. It's already good enough to collect a small bottle in this immortal domain. So powerful? Su Feng was very excited. The devil race had already extended their evil claws into this immortal domain. With this pool of devil-corroding poison chi, he would have a powerful trump card to contend against the devil race experts. He hurriedly took out the empty bottles used to store the spiritual liquid. After filling 20 bottles, the pool was finally bottomed out. At the bottom of the pool, there was a new appearance. A bright red light shrouded the pool. The light was like a blood light, emitting an astonishing majestic chi and blood. There were immortal runes flowing on it, forming a shackle of divine power. And in the red light, there was a palm. It was a pale and delicate hand. Who knew how many tens of thousands of years it had been soaked in the demonic corrosive venom, but it appeared to be completely undamaged. Furthermore, it was constantly colliding with the bloodlight seal. How long had it been since the ancient war of the immortals and demons? This palm was still trying to break the seal. Whether it was the palm or the seal, both made Su Fong shocked. He couldn't believe it. Buzz. Suddenly, some Tao runes from the life shrinking technique gushed into his mind. After analyzing the aura of the Tao runes, the aura of the blood red light was almost the same as the aura of the demon sealing imperial heavenly seal. It could be concluded that the expert who created the seal of the blood red light and the supreme physical body was the same person. Law suddenly realized. So that's the case. Su Fong asked in surprise, "Luo, what did you see? How is this an immortal tomb? It's clearly a trap for the demons." A trap. The hand sealed by crimson light should be the hand of a supreme demon, sealed by an immortal Tao expert with crimson light, and used as bait to lure the demons here. Think about it, the unidirectional spatial array, the difficulties of entering this place, and the devil-corroding venom. If they aren't targeted at the devil race, then who are they targeting? Su Fong said in confusion, but the difficulties outside are not that difficult, not that powerful. If it wasn't for the fact that too much time has passed, the power would definitely be more than 10 times what it is now. It would be very difficult for a supreme immortal emperor to come in. Its power can be seen from the thick layer of ashes outside. You can come here calmly, not because the difficulties are not difficult enough, but because you have the ability of a perfect physical body, the life-shrinking technique, and the demon sealing imperial heavenly seal. Su Fong thought about it carefully and finally understood. Law continued. The vitality of the demons is very tenacious. Some supreme demon experts are very difficult to kill, so they can only be sealed. This demonic hand, after millions of years, still has vitality, obviously came from a supreme demon expert, and has a fatal attraction to any demon. The devil-corroding venom is not a big threat to immortal Tao cultivators, but it is the fatal nemesis of the demons. There's so much devil-corroding venom here. Obviously, it is targeted at the demons. Su Fong asked again, but the demons can detect the devil-corroding venom gas as soon as they come in. It seems to have no effect. This poison pool that sealed the demonic hand should be hiding the venom. It must be the loosening of the seal that caused the venom gas to drift outside. Who cares what the purpose of building this so-called immortal tomb is? I'm too lazy to guess. I'll just take the treasures. Looking at the bloody light and demonic hand, Su Fong swallowed his saliva, his eyes shining. The demonic hand of a supreme demon expert was definitely a supreme treasure for cultivating the yellow spring blood sea and blood transformation true body. There was also the bloody light that sealed the demonic hand, using it as the source to find a supreme physical body. It would be easier. It was also a cultivation treasure that could be used to seal the blood of a supreme demon expert. If it was completely refined and integrated, who knew what kind of transformation it would bring? He took out the demon-sealing imperial heavenly seal and was about to undo the seal. Boom, boom, boom. An earth-shattering sound came from outside. From the aura he sensed, it was the sword chi of Yunxiao's thunder sword and the thunder power of the Qin clan immortal emperor. Not good. The Qin clan immortal emperor and Huang Lingyao are here. Su Fong hurriedly urged the demon sealing imperial heavenly seal to break the bloody light seal. The bloody light flashed and shrank into a walnut-sized drop of blood, tumbling and surging, exuding a shocking chi and blood and a supreme divine power. Even with Su Fang's powerful essence spirit, he felt a suffocating pressure and his whole body trembled. He hurriedly cast a seal to seal the blood and put it into the crucible transformation space. The demonic hand trembled and was about to fly away, but Su Fang, who had been prepared, gathered the power of thunder punishment to his right hand. His palm was wrapped in thunder light, and he grabbed the demonic hand. The demonic hand struggled violently. Su Fang's thunder punishment power contained the will of the heavenly Tao's punishment. Although the owner of this demonic hand was extremely powerful, it had been sealed for millions of years and soaked in demon-corroding venom. Out of 10 layers of power, only 1 layer was left. It was obediently subdued by Su Fang, sealed, and put into the crucible transformation space. 2 treasures were in his hand. Before he could be happy, a huge green thunder sword chi suddenly shook open the stone door, causing a great shock. Huang Lingyao and the immortal emperor powerhouse of the Great Qin immortal world broke in. When they saw Su Fang, their eyes were filled with shock and surprise. Hand over the treasure. The immortal emperor of the Qin clan roared like thunder. In an instant, he formed a seal, and a large number of seals were shot out from between his hands. His whole person seemed to have transformed into a thunder god. With a clench of his right hand, the thunder light in his fist carried an astonishing destructive aura, spreading throughout the entire cave. The rushing momentum shattered any resistance in front of him step by step. The immortal emperor powerhouse can no longer suppress Su Fang at this time. Second primordial spirit, go. Su Fang sneered in his heart and released the desolate devil that was possessed by his second primordial spirit. The desolate devil transformed into a supreme heavenly devil and instantly shot out a fierce devil chi fingerprint, which collided with the fist of the Qin clan immortal emperor. After a series of explosions, the desolate devil was sent flying. His body was severely damaged, and the monstrous devil flame also became weak. In the front fortress of Demon Dawn, the desolate devil's body was heavily injured in the battle with the dark jade devil emperor, and his Tao artifact was also destroyed. At this time, his strength was severely damaged. In addition, thunder was the most terrifying power in nature. It was fierce and violent to the extreme, and specialized in restraining the devil race. Therefore, the desolate devil was not the opponent of the Qin clan immortal emperor powerhouse at this time. The powerful attack of the Qin clan immortal emperor was also shaken. He took a few steps back to stabilize his body. Just as he was about to release the experts and Big Goblin to fight the Qin clan immortal emperor and Huang Lingyao to the death, the entire cave began to shake violently. Cracks appeared on the rocks, and an astonishing spatial airflow spurted out, rolling up pieces of rocks and sending them flying like cannonballs. The ground also began to shatter, as if the sky and earth were collapsing. Law and Su Fang's blood jade shouted like thunder. Take away the sealed demonic hand, cause the space here to collapse, and leave. Looking coldly at Huang Lingyao, Su Fang took back the desolate devil. Want to leave? Huang Lingyao suddenly attacked, slashing out a dazzling green thunder sword chi, splitting the collapsing cave into 2. The surrounding rocks and turbulence instantly shattered. Almost at the same time as Huang Lingyao activated the Cloud Sky Thunder Sword, an incomplete cauldron was suddenly released from Su Fang's body, the mouth of the cauldron facing forward. A seal hit the cauldron, and an astonishing aura containing supreme thunder power burst out from the mouth of the cauldron. The thunder light rotated and formed a vortex. Rumble. The green thunder sword chi that came rapidly seemed to have encountered an invisible attraction. It suddenly drilled into the cauldron, causing a rumbling thunder. The thunder punishment cauldron seemed to be about to burst. It expanded and roared, but in the end, it calmed down. The broken cauldron had an additional layer of luster, as if it had eaten a great tonic. The shocking attack of the Cloud Sky Thunder Sword could even kill an immortal emperor, but it was easily absorbed by an incomplete cauldron. Unexpected. Shocking. It was simply indescribable. The Cloud Sky Thunder Sword, one of the 10 great Tao tools, is only SOSO. Is the original sword unworthy of its name? Or is the person who activated it incompetent, unable to burst out the power of a Dao tool? Su Fang's mocking voice came. Huang Lingyao's body swayed, and she spat out a mouthful of blood. Repeatedly activating Cloudski's lightning sword had almost drained her dry. At this moment, her sword chi was actually so strangely dispersed by a damaged cauldron, and she was even ridiculed by Su Fang. Instantly, her arrogant and cold heart felt as if it was fiercely pierced with a flying sword, leaving behind a bloody hole. Su Fang's eyes revealed a look of disdain, and then released the human form of Green Feather King, who was sucked into his body. Green Feather King's figure flashed, and he directly drilled into the terrifying space vortex with incomparable domineeringness, disappearing without a trace. At this time, the cave completely collapsed. It turned out to be a big goblin with spatial ability. What was the identity of this person? The terrifying power formed by the shattering of space was more than 10 times more powerful than the general spatial turbulence caused by energy imbalance. However, Green Feather King calmly entered, which surprised the Qin clan's immortal emperor and Huang Lingyao. Let's go. The Qin clan's immortal emperor wrapped Huang Lingyao, and his aura burst out, releasing lightning to form a domain around them, resisting the terrifying spatial distortion and shattering force, and soared up into the sky. In a canyon more than 300 miles away from the camp of the two forces. In fact, it was not a canyon, but a deep crack in the earth created by the sword chi of a supreme expert during the ancient war of immortals and demons. Similar landforms could be seen everywhere on the god burial enclosure. As the space of the so-called immortal tomb, built deep underground, shattered, the earth also collapsed. The earth quaked, and the mountains shook, and the canyon rapidly expanded to both sides. Whoosh! A green-robed man flew out of the chaotic airflow, and then transformed into a huge green pung. With a flap of his wings, the green pung caused the spatial airflow to fluctuate. With a whoosh, the green pung disappeared into the canyon like a stream of light. Green Feather King obtained the cultivation base and physical essence of the demon Kuan, and thus activated his innate spatial ability. He was only one step away from becoming a demon emperor. He already had the ability to control space, and his speed had skyrocketed. Even ordinary immortal emperors could not catch up with him, flying thousands of miles away in one breath. Green Feather King transformed back into his human form and landed on a desolate mountain range. Su Fang came out of Green Feather King's internal space, and then released the Wooling Goblin. The Wooling Goblin became more than 10 feet long and rustled through the gaps in the mountain range until it found an empty cave. Su Fang reappeared, created a formation, and used the Heaven's secret life shrinking technique in the formation. In this way, any aura inside the formation could not be sensed by the outside world. This time, it could be said that he had poked a hornet's nest. The heavenly law immortal world and the great Qin immortal world must be frantically searching for him. Su Fang naturally had to be careful. Chapter 1261. So far, he had only digested a small part of the Yellow Springs Devil Emperor's Dao Field inheritance. In Demandon's fortress, his harvest was not small. In addition to the harvest in the immortal tomb, he needed a lot of time to digest it all. He could take advantage of this time to settle down. He entered the crucible transformation world. His body shattered, turning into a blood pool of more than 160 feet. After swallowing a part of the Jade Blood Demon's body, his body transformed again. In addition, he kept swallowing the pills formed by the primordial chaos, sacred mirror, and refining the giant gluttonous demon. Not only did his swallowing ability become stronger, but Su Fang's ability to control the Yellow Springs Blood Sea also became stronger. It constantly transformed into various forms and almost perfectly fused with his body. In the state of the Yellow Springs Blood Sea, Su Fang crazily swallowed the pills refined by the mirror. An amazing flame of life burned, causing the blood pool to tumble. There was a sense of turbulence, as if a new transformation was brewing. He peeled off a young immortal and came to the crucible transformation world's array formation. The water-type spirit was shackled in the array formation, turning into a giant water droplet. It was crystal clear and had facial features. It looked very strange. Law-side in the blood jade, Su Fong, this kind of water-type spirit is rare. It is even rarer than the earth-type spirit, like the wooling goblin. When it grows to a certain extent, it can let you swim freely in the vast immortal sea. Not bad, not bad. Seeing Su Fong arrive, the water-type spirit tumbled, looking very frightened. It said, "Master, I surrender. I am willing to surrender." This strange water-type spirit was obviously afraid of Su Fong's fire. It feared Su Fong from the bottom of its heart. Chi! Su Fong flicked a special mark, shooting it into the water-type spirit's forehead and planting a mark in its essence spirit. Su Fong asked, "Do you have a name?" The water-type spirit quickly replied, "Master, I am called Water Yuanling." Su Fong found a water-type gem from the Yellow Spring's Great Emperor's inheritance. This water-type gem had almost formed a consciousness and turned into a spirit body. It was only a hair's breadth away from becoming a spirit. It was absolutely a rare and peerless existence. Water Yuanling tumbled, very excited. "Shui Yuanling, recover first. If you follow me, as long as you're willing to put in the effort, there will be many spiritual items that can help you improve. It will definitely be much better than if you follow that white-robed cultivator. So much so that one day, I will take you to all the realms in the universe," Su Fong said proudly. Rich people were full of confidence. He now had another water-type spirit under his command. After allowing Shui Yuanling to cultivate and recover from her injuries, Su Fong suddenly issued a command. "All of you, come out." Swish! Swish! King Green Feather, Bai Ling, and the other big goblin, as well as Sovereign Ba, Mo, the great monk, Dai Yong, and the other experts, as well as the second primordial spirit and the ghouls, all appeared in front of Su Fong. "Is the dragon tomb, Lord, willing to submit?" Su Fong asked the Vermilion Emperor. It turned out that these days, Su Fong had been asking the Vermilion Emperor to torture Long Ling Jun, hoping to recruit him as a subordinate. After all, Long Ling Jun was an immortal emperor expert. The heavenly demon mountain great lord blood monarch that had been suppressed in Demon Dawn Fortress had already submitted. But the half-dead dragon tomb lord still refused to lower his head. The Vermilion Emperor helplessly said, "This person is a peak master of the heavenly Tao immortal world and is also a clansman of immortal Emperor Tianong. He is like a stone in a latrine pit, refusing to submit. Instead, he curses master as soon as he opens his mouth. Second primordial spirit, search his soul. Give the corpse to King Green Feather and the others." Su Fong decisively said, his voice filled with cold, killing intent. King Green Feather and the other big goblin were excited. The body essence of an immortal emperor was enough to rapidly increase their strength. Moreover, Long Ling Jun cultivated emperor energy and dragon energy. Especially dragon energy, the benefits to the big goblin were extraordinary. King Green Feather could use this to easily break through to the monster emperor realm. As for the other big goblins, their strength would also increase by leaps and bounds. They might even have a chance to become monster emperors. Su Fong took out some demon corroding venom. The ghouls' ferocious mouth on their chests began to drip sticky liquid. They seemed to be drooling with desire, but also a bit fearful. The world immortal realm expert, Dai Yong, looked at the demon corroding venom with anticipation. He was also a poison expert. However, he specialized in using poison fog. His attack style was more inclined towards a large area poison domain. It was somewhat similar to Corpse Emperor's corpse poison domain. Gue Ge, be careful when you devour the demon corroding venom. Su Fong was a little worried about Gue Gue. Gue Gue had devoured a lot of demon corroding venom in the past. There would definitely be some conflicts between him and the demon corroding venom. However, Gue Ge also cultivated Yellow Spring Blood Sea. His speed was astonishing. Although it might be a little difficult to fuse with the demon corroding venom, it shouldn't be a big problem. After giving some demon corroding venom to Gue Gue and Dai Yong, he then distributed the resources in Long Lingjuan's storage ring to his experts. The wealth of an immortal emperor expert was considerable. Moreover, Long Lingjun was a high-level expert of the heavenly Tao immortal world. In addition, he had killed so many experts of the heavenly Tao immortal world to rescue Xian Yin Tian. He had accumulated various resources that could allow the experts to reach new heights. Su Fong did not use the newly obtained demonic hand and the drop of blood essence of a supreme expert for the time being. With his current strength, it would take a very long time for him to completely devour and fuse with the demonic hand and the expert's blood essence. He still had the pills refined by the giant ghouls. There was no need to spend too much time on these two treasures. When his strength increased in the future, these two treasures would be even more useful. Not long later, the second primordial spirit returned and gave Su Fong a rune talisman. It contained Long Lingjuan's memories. The second primordial spirit had already devoured more than half of Night Charm. The power of the primordial spirit was constantly transforming. Not only could it devour other people's primordial spirits, it also grasped Night Charm's ability to control other cultivators' thoughts and consciousness. Heavenly Tao, immortal world, what a strong background. What great ambition. From Long Lingjuan's memories, Su Fong learned a lot about the heavenly Tao, immortal world, and immortal Emperor Tianong. So, immortal Emperor Tianong was definitely not as simple as the rumors said. In Long Lingjuan's memories, immortal Emperor Tianong came from a top force in the heavenly Tao, immortal world. Immortal Emperor Tianong secretly controlled the heavenly Tao, White Sun sect, and other forces. He was the true ruler of the heavenly Tao, immortal world. When the world changed and the third sun rose, immortal Emperor Tianong started to plan. He secretly contacted the 8 forces to fight against the Tranquility Emperor residents. At the same time, he also started to devour other weaker forces. In this immortal domain, there were many strange incidents where sects and families suddenly disappeared. Other than the demon race, the heavenly Tao immortal world also did this kind of thing. At this time, the heavenly Tao immortal world had already set their sights on the constellation of 9 heavens and the clear skies myriad scroll door. They secretly attacked these 2 sects, constantly weakening their strength and waiting for the right time to devour these 2 sections. Not only the heavenly Tao immortal world, but the Tranquility Emperor residence was also doing the same thing. In addition to the demon race and the ancient resurrected big goblin that sneaked into this immortal domain, the demon race experts, a storm was brewing in this immortal domain. Luo suddenly said from the blood jade in his body, "Why do you feel pressure? This immortal domain is in chaos. It's the time for me to rise. When I get the supreme body, it's also the time for me to step onto the stage of the strong." After a pause, Su Fong showed a trace of worry. "I'm worried about Xuanxin and the clear skies myriad scroll door," Luo mocked. "Why? After practicing dual cultivation with the first beauty for a while, you can't forget the feeling of dual cultivation?" Su Fong suddenly said seriously, "Luo, I told you last time that I'll help you collect some primordial spirits of female cultivators and enter the blood jade to practice dual cultivation with you. Are you sure you don't want to consider it?" Cough, cough. Su Fong said it very seriously and didn't seem to be joking. Luo immediately choked. He quickly changed the topic. The Clear Skies Myriad Scroll Door is not an ordinary sect. Its foundation is deeper than you can imagine. It also has an alliance with the Star Palace. The Heavenly Tao, Immortal World, and the Tranquility Emperor residents can't do anything to it for a while. Your woman stays in the sect and will be fine for the time being. You can rest assured. Su Fong was slightly relieved. He entered the Netherworld Blood Sea to cultivate, constantly settling and accumulating. Luo sighed in the Blood Jade. It won't be long before he rises to the sky like the blazing sun, bursting with bright light in this immortal realm. Death returned to its origin. Puff! Another mouthful of blood spurted out. Huang Lingyao suddenly opened her eyes. Her face was paler, but her eyes became sharper and colder. Since ascending to the immortal world, everything had been smooth sailing. She was a cultivator who ascended from the lower realm and became a proud woman all the way. She even got the attention of immortal Emperor Tianong. How arrogant was Huang Lingyao? Although today was only a short confrontation with someone, it was the first time Huang Lingyao suffered a setback. Her Tao heart was also affected. After several years of cultivation, she finally recovered a little. Her Tao heart became cold and hard like iron again. Who knew that when news came that the immortal world of the heavenly law immortal world and the great Qin immortal world searched for a radius of 100,000 miles, and even mobilized all the immortal emperors of the two forces in the god burial enclosure, but that demonic cultivator seemed to have evaporated from the human world. Not even a trace of his aura could be found. This news caused Huang Lingyao's killing intent to surge again. I, Huang Lingyao, will one day become an unparalleled powerhouse in the world of immortals. This heavenly demon is a whetstone on my path of cultivation. The next time I meet him, I'll kill him to strengthen my Tao heart. Master, I have some impression of this person's aura. The sword spirit of Yunxiao's thunder sword suddenly spoke in her body. Huang Lingyao's eyes flashed. Sword spirit, you sensed this demon's aura before. Did you meet him somewhere in the immortal world before? Yes, master. When he activated the broken cauldron that could swallow my green thunder sword chi, a mysterious aura leaked out, and I sensed it. However, the last time I sensed this mysterious aura, it was not in the immortal world, but in the lower realm. Moreover, this person's identity is not a heavenly demon, but a human cultivator. A human cultivator from the lower realm? The sword spirit continued. Moreover, the mysterious aura on this person's body is exactly the same as the purple Qi Dharma spirit that Master gave to immortal Emperor Tianong. It's him. Huang Lingyao stood up with a whoosh, and a thunder sword Qi swam around him. This person is actually Su Fang. Huang Lingyao spat out a name. His voice was cold and filled with disbelief. At the same time, it also contained a strong, killing intent. He entered the chaotic abyss near the divine billow immortal world and went to the devil camp to rescue Fairy Xuanxin. Unexpectedly, he was able to come out alive. His luck is simply heaven-defying. Moreover, he has a supreme Tao artifact that can restrain Yunxiao's thunder sword, and he has all kinds of abilities that ordinary cultivators have. What a good Su Fang. He has grown to such an extent and even surpasses me. I must kill him as soon as possible. Chapter 1262. Sword Spirit. You're saying that Su Fang also has a purple Qi Dharma spirit? Huang Lingyao asked. The Sword Spirit replied, I'm not sure, but I can feel the mysterious aura on his body. There's a desire to obey him. This feeling is even stronger than the Qi Meridian that Master gave to immortal Emperor Tianong. Therefore, it's very likely that he has the purple cloud Dharma spirit. After a moment, Huang Lingyao's lips curled into a cold smile. Su Fang, whether or not you really have a purple Qi Dharma spirit, let immortal Emperor Tianong verify it himself. Heavenly Tao, immortal realm. In a secret realm shrouded in immortal mist, a mountain peak was like a dragon crawling on the ground. Not only was there rich spiritual Qi, there was also a strong dragon Qi. A figure passed through the formation and came to a cave with a closed door. This was a middle-aged man, wearing a dark golden robe. His aura was empty, but there was a royal aura around him. He was a peerless expert of the heavenly Tao immortal realm. The middle-aged man struck out a seal, condensing a red light into the cave, and disappeared. After a long time, a majestic voice with the aura of a supreme ruler came from the cave. This emperor is at a critical moment of secluded cultivation. Why have you come to disturb me? The middle-aged man replied respectfully, reporting to the monarch, the Dragon Tomb Lord has fallen. Immortal Emperor Tianong said faintly, Oh, have you found out who killed a strand of my primordial spirit in Lord Long Lingjuan's body? Immortal Emperor Tianong had a primordial spirit clone in every important member of the clan as a life-saving measure. Although Immortal Emperor Tianong sensed that Su Fang had killed the primordial spirit in Lord Long Lingjuan's body, he did not know what happened at that time. He was also at a critical moment of secluded cultivation and did not personally investigate. The middle-aged man replied, "I'm not sure yet, but I received news that Lord Longling Jun led many experts of the White Sun sect to kill Xian Tian. Now that Lord Longling Jun has fallen, Xian Tian took Xuanxin back to the clear skies thousand scroll door. That means Longling Jun's death is related to Xian Tian? My lord is wise. Fairy Xuanxin had been kidnapped by the devil race before. Her Dao companion, Su Fong, went to the devil race's nest to rescue her. At this moment, Fairy Xuanxin had returned and was with Xian Tian. From this, it could be inferred that the matter of Dragon Tomb Lord had something to do with Su Fong. Moreover, we just received news from the God-burying enclosure that this person stole the treasure that originally belonged to the heavenly law immortal world and escaped with ease. Su Fong, interesting. My lord, the news that was sent back also said that this person has a purple Qi Dharma spirit. Purple Qi Dharma spirit. Immortal Emperor Tian Ang's voice suddenly became louder, no longer indifferent. Long Lingjuan's death didn't affect him at all. Hearing about the purple Qi Dharma spirit, Immortal Emperor Tian Ang's tone changed drastically. Obviously, he valued the purple Qi Dharma spirit more than the life and death of a celestial emperor. Yes, Ms. Huang Lingyao concluded that Su Fong has a purple Qi Dharma spirit. Purple Qi Dharma spirit. Looks like my hope of breaking through the bottleneck will be placed on this ant named Su Fong. Immortal Emperor Tian Ang's laughter came from the cave. Before he finished laughing, a primordial spirit suddenly passed through the stone door and hit the middle-aged man's forehead, instantly breaking through the divine aperture's defense. Caught off guard, this supreme expert of the heavenly law immortal world was instantly taken over by Immortal Emperor Tianong and became one of his avatars. 9-peak Dao realm is enough to deal with a small ant. The middle-aged man touched his face and nodded with satisfaction. Let's go to the God-burying enclosure and also to the clear sky, thousand scroll gate to visit Xian Tian. Let's see where this supreme expert came from, daring to destroy my primordial spirit. The middle-aged man who was taken over by Immortal Emperor Tian Ang's eyes exuded a cold light. He took a step forward and disappeared into the void. Time flew, and in the blink of an eye, 10 years had passed. In the God-burying enclosure, Su Fong turned into a pool of blood in the crucible transformation cauldron. The giant gluttonous demon was comparable to an immortal emperor, and it had the life essence of an immortal emperor. It was refined into an elixir by the origin sacred mirror, and after more than 10 years of continuous devouring, Su Fong finally completely merged with it. As the elixir refined by the giant gluttonous demon was continuously devoured and merged, the yellow spring blood sea grew at an astonishing speed. At this time, it had an area of 180 feet. The fire of life was burning crazily, and there was a majestic power of reincarnation. Whoosh, whoosh. The blood water suddenly transformed into a long river, spiraling and flowing endlessly, surging and surging violently. After a while, it turned into a huge whirlpool, emitting an amazing devouring power that seemed to be able to devour time and space. It caused the array in the crucible transformation cauldron to shake. With the new body and the elixir, the yellow spring blood sea's cultivation speed increased and it transformed again. Whether it was the devouring power or the ability to control the yellow spring blood sea, they were all greatly improved. The reincarnation power in his body also surged. At this time, Su Fong could at least activate half of the reincarnation sword's power, or even more. Black Lotus True Body. The Black Lotus blood threads grew out of the blood like threads, rising and falling with the blood. It was a shocking sight. Then he activated the Lightning Punishment True Body. Traces of lightning appeared from the blood, emitting a terrifying lightning elemental divine might. Law was right. Absorbing the power of lightning could indeed be used to cultivate the Lightning Punishment True Body. Over the years, he had absorbed a strand of Huang Lingyao's sword chi from the Lightning Punishment Cauldron, fusing it with his body bit by bit. Finally, the lightning punishment true body changed, increasing the power of the lightning punishment in his body by a lot. However, it was temporarily unable to form a lightning vein like the other true bodies. Next, Su Fong tried to activate the illusory fire cloud, blood transformation true body, and other powers in the yellow spring blood sea. He activated them instantly and flexibly. The Yin-Yang Dao Palace, formed by the 26 Yang veins, was also trying to form the 27th Yang vein. Once the 27th Yang vein was formed, the 9 changes of the 9 suns would reach a new height. Therefore, it was very crucial. Not only did it require the accumulation of Yang Qi, it also required a certain amount of opportunity. The 27th Yang vein could be formed at any time and step into the 3rd transformation. Not only was Su Fong transforming, but the experts under him, the Big Goblin, the junior commanders, and the cultivators were also transforming and improving rapidly. During this period of closed-door cultivation, the Big Goblin and experts were constantly making breakthroughs. The Vermilion Emperor was also trying to become a Demon Emperor. A breakthrough would happen in the next few decades. In addition to various supreme Dao artifacts, Su Fong was confident that if he were to face the Dark Jade Devil Emperor again, he would definitely be able to defeat him. He even had a certain degree of confidence that he could kill him. Unfortunately, Su Fong had been trying to combine the immortal blood spirit and corpses in the past few years to refine corpse puppets. However, he had been repeatedly unsuccessful. However, he had finally gained some experience. Cultivation was originally an extremely dry and tedious thing that required long-term accumulation. He could not be impatient. Suddenly, there was a movement in the cauldron transformation space. Then came the urgent voice of Green Feather King. Kid, this king is about to break through to the Demon Emperor realm. Find a place to let this king break through. Su Fong was surprised and delighted. He quickly ended his cultivation in the yellow spring blood sea, flew out of the cauldron transformation space, and released Green Feather King. The God Burial Enclosure was not a good place for a big goblin to break through. Moreover, Green Feather King was breaking through to the Demon Emperor realm, which meant that he would have to experience the 9 heavenly lightning tribulation, which was 10 times more dangerous than the 9 heavenly lightning tribulation that cultivators had to endure to break through to the next realm. There were countless big goblin in the immortal world, but only 1 in 10,000 could really survive the 9 heavenly lightning tribulation and become a demon emperor. Once the tribulation failed, the final result would be turning into ashes. If it succeeded, it would transform into a demon emperor expert. Moreover, the strength of a demon emperor was much stronger than an immortal emperor of the same level. Some demon emperors with special innate abilities could even leave a peak immortal emperor in the dust. Green Feather King had obtained the inheritance of Cohen Demon. After all these years of accumulation, he could have broken through to the Demon Emperor realm long ago, but he chose not to do so. He was worried that if he failed, everything would turn into bubbles. Green Feather King and Su Fong appeared on the mountain peak. Su Fong frowned after glancing around. Green Feather King, the Demon Emperor tribulation of the Big Goblin, is very dangerous. You have to be careful. With you here, what's there to be afraid of? Green Feather King said indifferently, exuding a domineering aura. Then his expression sank. Once the heavenly tribulation attracts the attention of the 8 forces, not only will it interfere with my tribulation, it will also bring you great trouble. At this time, it's already difficult to suppress your realm. You can't delay it any longer. I have the Thunder Punishment Cauldron, which can absorb the power of the lightning tribulation. You won't have any problem crossing the tribulation. But if someone comes to interfere, after a moment of silence, Su Fong's body exploded with fierce killing intent. If someone comes, kill. As long as it's not an immortal emperor, I'm not afraid. He found an empty place and created a formation. Then he summoned experts and the Big Goblin. He even released the Corpse Emperor controlled by the 2nd primordial spirit. Su Fong's cold gaze swept around, and he said in a domineering voice, Green Feather King is my relative. Now that he's crossing the Demon Emperor tribulation, he'll definitely attract strong enemies. What should I do? Kill. The experts and the big goblins said in unison, their killing intent awe-inspiring. The experts and the big goblin rose into the sky and scattered far away. Green Feather King sat on the ground, and a demonic aura that had been suppressed to the extreme soared into the sky. In an instant, in the sky above the god burial enclosure, tribulation clouds suddenly rolled. Lightning flashed in the clouds, and a terrifying lightning tribulation was brewing, about to explode. A heavenly might instantly shrouded the world, and it was difficult not to attract attention. A treasure has appeared. What treasure has appeared? A big goblin is crossing the Demon Emperor tribulation. How could a big goblin be crossing the tribulation to become a demon emperor in the god burial enclosure? This place was under the control of the heavenly law immortal realm and the great Qin immortal realm. The abnormal situation here immediately attracted the attention of the experts of the two forces. A big goblin is actually crossing the tribulation. Our luck is really good. Let's go and help this big goblin cross the tribulation and then suppress it. The heavenly law immortal realm will have another demon emperor expert. Long Shao Jun laughed loudly, and his domineering aura overflowed. He leaped into the air, and the experts followed closely behind him. Chapter 1263. The tribulation clouds in the sky churned, lightning flashed, and thunder rumbled. Heavenly tribulation was a punishment for cultivators and big goblin who tried to defy the heavens and change their fate. The big goblin's heavenly tribulation was more powerful than that of cultivators. What Green Feather King was facing was a great tribulation to transform into a demon emperor. Therefore, it was more terrifying than the 9 major tribulations that cultivators faced when breaking through a realm. Before the heavenly tribulation descended, an amazing pressure shrouded the world, making it difficult for the experts and big goblin who were guarding Green Feather King to fly and had to land on ground. The dark tribulation clouds suddenly cracked open, and thunderfire seeped out as if the sky was being torn apart. Endless thunderfire leaked out and poured down, gathering into a rain of thunderfire, passing through the void to destroy Green Feather King. What's going on? Green Feather King's thunder tribulation seems to be more terrifying than that of an ordinary big goblin transforming into a demon emperor. Su Fong sensed the terror of the thunder tribulation and couldn't help but change his expression. The omniscient Luo replied, Green Feather King often hides in your crucible transformation realm to cultivate. When he breaks through, he avoids the heavenly tribulation again and again. Transforming from a big goblin to a demon emperor is a major realm. All the accumulated heavenly tribulations will burst out. Moreover, Green Feather King is from the Rock Clan, so the heavenly tribulation he has to endure is much more powerful than that of other big goblins. Just watch, this is just the beginning. Green Feather King, I'm not worried. Su Fong looked around from time to time, a cold light flashing in his eyes. Are you worried about the 8 forces that are looking for a supreme body in the god-burying enclosure? Green Feather King, the timing of your breakthrough is not good. If all the 8 forces hear about it and come, you'll be in trouble. This time, you have to expose all your strength. If you can get that supreme body, you can do whatever you want in the god-burying enclosure. But now it's a little too early. What will come will come. Aren't you afraid? Afraid? If you don't even have the courage to face such danger, how can you become a peerless powerhouse and stand at the top of the world? This was a good opportunity to let the 8 powers know of the existence of the Su Fong. Those who bully us die. Those who stand in my way shall be exterminated. Su Fong's voice was domineering and decisive. At this moment, the lightning tribulation descended from the sky. Whoosh! Green Feather King, who had transformed into a giant rock, suddenly flew up against the lightning tribulation. His huge wings stirred up a billowing storm as he charged into the lightning fire. The thunder fire that blotted out the sky smashed onto Green Feather King's body. Lightning flashed in the sky and blazed in flames. Green Feather King laughed wildly and swam freely in the terrifying thunder fire. His wings stirred up turbulence that swept the thunder fire away. How domineering, how delightful! The first lightning tribulation easily passed. Green Feather King's body emitted black smoke, but he exuded a supreme, domineering aura. He looked up at the sky, impatiently waiting for the arrival of the second lightning tribulation. Hoo-hoo-hoo! More than a dozen figures appeared in the air. Judging from their attire, they should be experts from the Chamber of Commerce. Their strength was not to be underestimated, reaching the level of an elder. What a powerful rock! I'm afraid it won't be easy to suppress. The more powerful it is, the more terrifying the heavenly tribulation it attracts. How many can it survive? When this demon fails the tribulation, it will leave something behind. If we can get its golden core, we can definitely sell it for a high price. It'll be even better if it can survive the heavenly tribulation. While it's weak after the tribulation, we can capture it alive. Then we'll be rich. More than a dozen experts looked at Green Feather King with greedy eyes. At this moment, a strange laughter came from below. A few reckless human cultivators. Are you crazy for money? You actually have designs on Green Feather King. I'll swallow you all. Before the voice fell, Vermilion Emperor transformed into his original body and rushed out from the ground. Vermilion Emperor's improvement speed was almost the same as Green Feather King's. He was also a terrifying big goblin that was about to break through to the Demon Emperor realm. At this time, his combat strength was also extremely shocking. He was even more powerful than some of the top elders. Directly rushing into the group of cultivators, Vermilion Emperor rampaged, biting with his fangs and spitting out demonic poison. Caught off guard, 3 of the dozen cultivators were killed by him. The remaining cultivators turned pale with fright and hurriedly fled. They were all killed by Ling, Skeereach, Demon Venerable, and several other big goblins. Their corpses were also eaten by the big goblin. At this time, many cultivators had already rushed over from all directions. When they saw this scene, they were immediately frightened and stopped to watch from afar. As long as they don't interfere with Green Feather King, ignore those cultivators for the time being. Su Fong issued an order to the big goblin. Bai Ling and the other big goblins retreated. The tribulation clouds in the sky brewed for a moment. Bolts of lightning burst out, intertwining into a net of lightning that fell from the sky. Green Feather King burst out with an astonishing momentum that could tear space, directly tearing the net of lightning into pieces. Then, the third tribulation, the fourth tribulation, until the seventh tribulation, Green Feather King gradually couldn't bear it anymore. Most of the feathers on his body fell off. His body was full of scars from the bombardment of heavenly lightning, constantly emitting green smoke. His momentum was also weakened to the extreme. Kacha! A white lightning bolt pierced through the clouds like a heavenly dragon, bringing with it a terrifying destructive force as it blasted towards Green Feather King. This king wants to take advantage of the situation. I'll let you have a taste of the tribulation thunder first. Green Feather King suddenly shouted coldly. His huge wings drew out 2 green lights. In an instant, he traversed tens of thousands of feet and rushed into the hundreds of human cultivators who wanted to take advantage of the situation. His speed was so fast that it was impossible to die. The tail of the tribulation thunder followed Green Feather King all the way and exploded in the crowd. Countless people were blasted into ashes. The others fled into the distance, not daring to get too close. More than half of the tribulation thunder's power was consumed. Green Feather King turned around and spat out a green light. It spun and whistled like a sharp wheel, colliding with the tribulation thunder and causing a huge explosion. Next, Green Feather King's wings flapped, sweeping up a tribulation thunder that was tens of feet long and flying towards Vermilion Emperor. Vermilion Emperor, do you dare to taste the tribulation thunder? Why not? The Vermilion King, who had transformed into a pig demon, let out a wild laugh. He actually opened his bloody mouth and swallowed the lightning into his stomach. A series of muffled sounds rang out as if a string of firecrackers had been lit inside a jar. His body emitted lightning and plumes of black smoke. Vermilion Emperor repeatedly cheered, looking like he was enjoying it very much. The human cultivators who were watching from afar suddenly broke out in cold sweat when they saw this scene. They couldn't help but retreat, not daring to come within 50 miles. The eighth tribulation came one after another. Thunderstorm rolled up from the clouds in the sky, forming a huge funnel that extended down from the sky. It was like a tornado formed by thunder. Wind and thunder rolled, sweeping through the void, and then rolling up spatial turbulence and gathering together. From afar, it was spectacular to the extreme. Su Fong asked in surprise, "Luo, why is there such a terrifying spatial power in Green Feather King's tribulation besides the tribulation thunder?" Luo replied in the depths of his body, "The thunder fire is used to destroy or temper the demon body, and this tribulation thunder is aimed at the innate ability of the rock demon. As long as he can survive this tribulation, the innate ability of the rock clan in his body will be completely awakened. He will be able to control space and roam the void." Green Feather King obtained the inheritance of the rock demon. Although he has awakened a part of his innate ability, it is not his own after all. After the baptism of the tribulation, it will become more perfect, so you'd better not help him in this tribulation. Su Fong could not help feeling a little worried. At this time, a domineering voice came from afar. "Rock expert who is undergoing tribulation. This seat is Long Xiaojun, the third son of immortal Emperor Tianong. Your Excellency will not be able to survive the next 2 tribulations. This dragon is willing to help you." Without waiting for him to finish, Green Feather King shouted coldly, "Immortal Emperor Tianong is nothing. Get lost." After that, Green Feather King leaped into the sky like a bolt of blue lightning and drilled into the rolling thunderstorm. This rock expert is right. Immortal Emperor Tianong is nothing, huh? A loud voice full of sovereign qi came from the void, and then a towering figure came out. This person was dressed in white, with a mighty figure and a supreme sovereign qi. It seemed that one look from him could make all things submit. He was also an expert who cultivated sovereign qi. Emperor Ning's residence, Yinghuang. Long Xiaojuan's face suddenly turned gloomy, but he did not refute. Although his identity and strength were extraordinary, he was not on the same level as Emperor Ning's residence's Yinghuang. Arguing with Emperor Ning would only bring shame to himself. The Qin clan's immortal emperor next to Long Xiaojun looked indifferent. Obviously, he did not want to have a direct confrontation with Emperor Ning's residence. "Senior brother, don't be angry. Let this person be arrogant for a while. After a while, the immortal emperors of the heavenly law immortal realm will come." Huang Lingyao comforted him, revealing a rare, gentle side. From this, one could see the depth of this woman's scheming. "And that arrogant big goblin of the rock clan, I, Long Xiaojun, will capture you alive and make you my mount." Long Xiaojuan's eyes were full of fierce killing intent, and he said coldly. They were about 40 to 50 miles away from the place where Green Feather King was transcending the tribulation. In addition, their sensing ability was disturbed and shackled by the power of the tribulation, and all their attention was on Green Feather King in the air, so they did not notice Su Fong on the ground. Green Feather King rushed into the thunderstorm. His huge body was like a small boat floating in the waves, and he could be smashed to pieces at any time. His monster body was constantly bombarded by the thunder and torn by the spatial turbulence. Soon, his body was covered with cuts and bruises. Moreover, the power of the thunder punishment and the power of space seeped into his body, constantly destroying his meridians and flesh. Fortunately, Green Feather King had made thorough preparations before transcending the tribulation. He had taken a large number of elixirs and spiritual objects, and he had obtained the Kuan demon's cultivation and body essence. So his physical strength was very terrifying. Moreover, there was some wonderful baptism power in the tribulation, which made his awakened innate ability more perfect and his ability to deal with the tribulation stronger. The eighth tribulation lasted for 3 days before it gradually weakened. Zap! Green Feather King, who was about to be unable to hold on, suddenly burst out a loud cry. A terrifying aura that caused the space to tremble and distort burst out from his body. His wings set off a spatial turbulence storm, and the surrounding thunder tribulation storm was swept back, shattering it bit by bit. When the thunder tribulation dissipated, Green Feather King had exhausted his strength and fell from the sky like a kite with a broken string. This monster is exhausted. Take the opportunity to kill him and seize his monster body and golden core. Figures rushed over from all directions. Among them, there was no lack of top Great Elder-level experts, and there was also an immortal Emperor expert from the Chamber of Commerce. Su Fong flew out and formed a seal to form a Xian Guang, supporting Green Feather King and slowly landing on the ground. His cold eyes swept across all directions, and a voice full of killing intent surged. Those who take advantage of the situation die. Kill! 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 Experts and Big Goblin rushed out with monstrous killing intent. Chapter 1264. Green Feather King's tribulation had attracted thousands of cultivators. This was because the god burial enclosure was too large. So many cultivators couldn't come in a short time. The cultivators who came were coincidentally searching for treasures nearby. A big goblin that had passed the 8th heaven tribulation was worth a lot, even if it was just a corpse. Seeing that Green Feather King was an arrow at the end of its flight, some people couldn't wait to attack before the tribulation was over. It was mainly the Chamber of Commerce and some vassal forces of the major forces. They didn't get much leftovers from the major forces in the god burial enclosure, so they all coveted Green Feather King. Puff! Boom! Su Fong's subordinates, the Big Goblin, were extremely powerful, and each of them had extraordinary divine abilities and Tao artifacts. These stragglers were no match for them. In less than 10 breaths, more than 30 experts were killed, and the rest fled. The immortal Emperor expert of the Chamber of Commerce was hit by the Corpse Emperor's punch and spurted blood on the spot. Covered in death chi, he immediately turned around and fled. Over the years, although Su Fong hadn't mastered the method of refining corpse puppets, he had spared no effort in refining the Corpse Emperor. From time to time, he would water the Corpse Emperor with spiritual liquid. After being refined by the Crucible transformation technique, the Corpse Emperor's body was comparable to a top-grade Tao artifact, and his combat strength was much stronger than before. He didn't even need to release his second primordial spirit's divine aura to defeat the immortal Emperor. He didn't even need to use some powerful divine abilities. Su Fong, Corpse Emperor, Huang Lingyao, Long Shao Jun, and Emperor Ing of Emperor Ning's residence exclaimed at the same time. They were surprised and shocked. It's really him who took away the treasures in the immortal tomb. Long Shao Jun was enraged, and his murderous intent soared to the sky. Huang Lingyao's eyes were also full of cold, murderous intent, and cyan sword chi swam around him. Seeing the Corpse Emperor and Su Fong appear at the same time, Emperor Ing of Emperor Ning's residence suddenly understood, and his murderous intent surged. In the Imperial Mausoleum of the Divine Wave Nation, he lost Lin Yihan, an expert of Emperor Ning's residence, and was forced to flee by the Corpse Emperor. Now it seemed that he had been played by Su Fong. How could he not be angry? Furthermore, it was not difficult to deduce that the Demon Sealing Emperor's heavenly seal had most likely fallen into Su Fong's hands. This caused the Ing Emperor's eyes to burn with greed. At this time, Green Feather King's final lightning tribulation was brewing in the tribulation clouds, about to explode. The experts of the Tranquility Emperor's mansion and the Heavenly Law Immortal Realm gave up the idea of taking action. Being exposed to the thunder tribulation at this time was tantamount to inviting fire to oneself. The last heavenly tribulation of the Big Goblin's transformation into a demon emperor was something that even immortal emperors couldn't bear. A bolt of golden lightning rolled out from the tribulation cloud. The thick tribulation cloud seemed to have used up its last bit of heavenly tribulation power and instantly became thin. Golden lightning continuously tore through space, bringing with it a supreme heavenly might of lightning punishment that enveloped the heavens and the earth, causing even the sky to tremble. As it rolled, the golden lightning quickly condensed into a huge lightning ball that was more than 100 feet in size. Thunder roared in all directions. As the lightning flashed, one could faintly see mysterious patterns similar to Tao patterns. It was as if the heavenly Tao had released an incomparably powerful divine ability. At this moment, all the immortal emperors, including those immortal emperors, were trembling under the divine might of the will of the heavenly law, as if they were facing the end of the world. Some of the weaker ones looked at the lightning and had the illusion that they would be blasted into ashes in an instant. Su Fong was aghast. He flicked out a drop of blood with his finger and said, "Green Feather King, open your mouth." This drop of blood was no ordinary blood. It was the drop of blood of the supreme expert that Su Fong had used to seal the demon hand. It was diluted with spiritual liquid and contained amazing life essence. Even Su Fong was reluctant to use it for his own cultivation. Green Feather King opened his mouth and swallowed the blood. In the blink of an eye, his life chi that was originally dispirited to the extreme suddenly rose, reaching his peak state in an instant. "Kid, this king won't thank you this time. Haha, let's see how this king will shatter this damn lightning punishment." Green Feather King laughed wildly. "Wait!" Su Fong stopped Green Feather King and then struck out the lightning punishment cauldron. Asterisk chi. Asterisk the thunder punishment cauldron carried an ancient aura as it spun up. Ancient and profound thunder attribute Tao patterns appeared on its surface. Although it looked dilapidated, it burst out with a shocking thunder attribute divine might. Traces of golden lightning swirled around the mouth of the cauldron, forming a vortex. Asterisk boom. Asterisk the golden lightning punishment cauldron seemed to be attracted by it. A piece of lightning separated and suddenly drilled into the lightning punishment cauldron, bursting out thousands of golden rays. The lightning punishment cauldron burst out with a series of roars. The cauldron trembled uncontrollably. The thunder Tao patterns also flickered, but it didn't shatter. More than half of such a terrifying lightning punishment cauldron was absorbed by a broken cauldron. When they saw this scene, there wasn't a single person who wasn't shocked, all of them stupefied, turning into pieces of wood. This is the cauldron. Not only can it devour the sword chi of Yinxiao Thunder Sword, but it can also devour the lightning punishment cauldron. What kind of Tao artifact is this? Could it be a king-grade divine artifact? Huang Lingyao's eyes bloomed with an incomparably terrifying light. Yinxiao Thunder Sword was one of the famous 10 great Tao artifacts. The sword chi it released was actually swallowed by a broken cauldron. How incredible was that? The power of this lightning punishment cauldron was more than 10 times more terrifying than the sub-Thunder Sword chi. Such a supreme Tao artifact, even if it wasn't a legendary divine artifact, was still a 10 great Tao artifact. Kill Su Fong and get this cauldron. This was the only thought in Huang Lingyao's mind. Not only Huang Lingyao, but almost all the cultivators who saw this scene were excited and greedy. They had the same idea as Huang Lingyao. Boom, boom, boom. Green Feather King used his innate ability, rolling up a storm of spatial airflow and fighting with the remaining half of the lightning punishment cauldron. Soon, he was surrounded by golden lightning. At this time, Green Feather King had recovered to his peak state. His strength had reached the level of a demon royal. His wings rolled up the power of space, constantly shattering the lightning. Crack! Crack! However, the golden lightning punishment cauldron was too terrifying. Green Feather King was like a sparrow in a storm. He could be killed by the terrifying lightning punishment cauldron at any time. Suddenly, with a long roar, Su Fong flew out and stepped into the storm of lightning punishment cauldron. What is Su Fong doing? Is this person tired of living? Is he looking for death? Even Rock Demon, who has 1 foot in the demon royal realm, can't bear the 9th lightning punishment cauldron. He is only in the feather immortal realm. Isn't he looking for death? In the distance, the experts of Tranquility Emperor's Mansion and the heavenly law immortal realm were all stunned. They shouted that Su Fong was crazy and reckless. With the addition of Su Fong, the lightning punishment cauldron became even more fierce and violent. Come, I fear it isn't fierce enough. Su Fong laughed in the lightning punishment cauldron. He didn't display any divine might, but instead opened up his mortal body and allowed the lightning punishment cauldron to strike him. This was crazy. This was arrogant. It turned out that not only did Su Fong help Green Feather King share the power of lightning punishment cauldron, but he also wanted to use the power of lightning punishment cauldron to baptize his mortal body and cultivate the thunder punishment true body. At this time, the power of lightning punishment cauldron released by the Dark Jade Demon Emperor was 10 times more terrifying than when he ignited the Azure Demon Cauldron. However, Su Fong was no longer the same. His mortal body had been reborn in the power of lightning punishment cauldron, becoming even more formidable. His thunder punishment cauldron true body had also taken elementary form. He now had the ability to resist and even absorb heavenly tribulation lightning punishment cauldron. The wild power of lightning punishment cauldron instantly poured into his body, sweeping through every corner. Su Fong shivered and his face twisted. He felt as if his body would explode at any moment. Law's voice suddenly echoed out. Su Fong, try to control the lightning punishment cauldron. Enter the Yin-Yang Dao wheel and attack the Yang Meridian. That's right. Lightning is also the power of extreme Yang. I can use it to attack the Yang Meridian. Being reminded by Law, Su Fong was immediately enlightened. He released his thoughts and at the same time released his source strength, turning it into the power of Yin and Yang. A Yin and Yang divine might filled with a transcendent divinity erupted. The power of Yin and Yang was truly the most mysterious strength in the world. It even tamed the will of the heavenly Tao within the power of lightning punishment cauldron. The power of lightning punishment cauldron became obedient, turning into an impact force that was driven into the Yin-Yang Dao wheel by his consciousness. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Wild energy poured into the Yin-Yang Dao wheel formed by the 26 Yang Meridians. It was like a wild horse that had broken free of its reins, wildly galloping forwards. His meridians seemed as if they would explode at any moment. The 27th Yang Meridian that was attacking began to swell, ready to explode at any moment. It really worked. Su Fong laughed. Against the backdrop of thunder, he was like a supreme thunder god, awe-inspiring and mighty. Qi, a strange movement erupted in the Yang Meridian. The 27th Meridian was filled with Yang Qi and was about to explode. A shocking power was stirring. The 27th Yang Meridian is finally about to be born. The 9 Suns, 9 Transformations is about to step into the 3rd transformation. The 9 Suns, 9 Transformations had a total of 9 realms. Once the 27th Yang Meridian was formed, he would step into the 3rd transformation of the 9 Suns, 9 Transformations. How shocking would it be for him? Inadvertently, Su Fong had found a huge opportunity to form the 27th Yang Meridian and firmly grasped it. I'm still a little bit away from success. Moreover, now is not the time to break through. Su Fong hesitated. Fortunately, the power of the lightning punishment cauldron had almost been exhausted by him and Green Feather King. Su Fong decisively suppressed it and stopped attacking the 27th Yang Meridian. Instead, he used the power of the lightning punishment cauldron to cultivate the lightning punishment cauldron. How is this possible? He's refining the power of the lightning punishment cauldron. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked. Thunderous roars resounded in their heads. Even immortal emperors were trembling with fear when facing a great tribulation. They were like women forced to receive guests. They gritted their teeth and endured the baptism, withstanding the power of the heavenly tribulation. In the end, they would wear away the power bit by bit. At the same time, their physical body and primordial spirit would transform. At this moment, Su Fong was not only using the baptism of the lightning punishment cauldron, but also refining the power of the lightning punishment cauldron. Was this still a human? No, even a strange beast like the Peng clan couldn't do it. As the lightning gradually dissipated, Green Feather Monarch and Su Fong's figures appeared from the lightning. Green Feather King, congratulations on becoming a demon emperor. Kid, we're on the same side. This king, no, this emperor won't thank you. The two laughed at each other, feeling very happy. Next, you will accept the baptism of the tribulation cauldron and officially become a demon emperor. As for the rest, leave it to me. Su Fong looked at the old acquaintances of Emperor Ning's mansion and the heavenly Tao immortal realm in the distance. His body exploded with fighting spirit. Okay, at most one day, I will have the strength of a demon emperor. At that time, I will kill the enemy side by side with you. Green Feather King didn't stand on ceremony. He immediately sat cross-legged in the air and accepted the baptism. An invisible force permeated his body. His sharp eyes swept across the crowd. Su Fong said in a voice full of disdain, "Everyone, do you want to come at me together or one by one?" Witnessing Su Fong's supreme aggressiveness with their own eyes, some cultivators from the Chamber of Commerce and the big forces completely cut off their greedy thoughts. Arrogant Junior, how dare you ignore Emperor Ning's mansion? Emperor Ing was the first to attack. The Qin clan Celestial Emperor, Long Shao Jun, Huang Ling Yao, and many other experts also released their auras and rushed towards Su Fong. This is the territory controlled by the heavenly Tao immortal realm. Su Fong and that demon rock are all things of our heavenly Tao immortal realm. Lord Emperor Ing of Emperor Ning's mansion, please go back. A figure escaped from the void and stood in front of Emperor Ing. To think that another immortal emperor had come. Chapter 1265. Lord Long Yuanjun, the heavenly law immortal realm and Tranquility Emperor's mansion were both in the immortal Ao great world. They were enemies and constantly clashed with each other. Emperor Ing naturally recognized this immortal emperor from Tranquility Emperor's mansion. Emperor Ing said in a deep voice, "Lord Long Yuanjun, let's put aside the enmity between the heavenly law immortal realm and Tranquility Emperor's mansion. Let's capture Su Fong first. This man is cunning and has all kinds of heaven-defying means. If he escapes, no one will benefit." After thinking for a while, Lord Long Yuanjun nodded and agreed. "I've heard about Su Fong. In order to capture him alive, the heavenly law immortal realm can put aside the enmity for the time being. The demon rock is yours. The rest belongs to the heavenly law immortal realm and the great Qin immortal realm." Lord Long Yuanjun, you really have a big appetite. You want to take Su Fong for yourself. Well, I don't want the demon rock. When Su Fong is captured alive, I'll take a Taoist artifact from him first. In addition, you must give me a copy of the ethereal enlightenment. Emperor Ing said very decisively. Deal. Lord Long Yuanjun agreed with a laugh. The two sides haggled, directly treating Su Fong as a weak chicken to be slaughtered. Su Fong looked at the scene coldly. He secretly gathered the corpse emperor, his subordinates, and the big goblin to protect Green Feather King in the center. The Immortal Moon Palace also wants a share of the pie. I wonder what the heavenly law immortal realm and Tranquility Emperor's mansion think. A cold voice was heard, followed by several figures. These cultivators were all wearing snow-white Taoist robes with moon patterns. They were from the Immortal Moon Palace. Young Master Shui was also among them. They were here for an immortal emperor whose strength had reached the realm of world immortal realm. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. More figures came from the sky. It turned out that the four forces, the clear sky myriad scroll door, the constellation of 9 heavens, the Huyin Shinrikyo, the Brahma meditation sect, and the 8 forces from this immortal realm, all came. The powerhouses of the Emperor Ning's mansion, the Heaven Law immortal realm, and the Great Qin immortal realm all stopped. Clear sky, myriad scrolls gate, constellation of 9 heavens. Su Fong is a special disciple of your sections. He killed Lin Han of the Prince of Tranquility's estate and stole the treasures of the heavenly Tao immortal realm. If you don't want to be enemies with the heavenly Tao immortal realm and the Prince of Tranquility's estate, then I advise you not to interfere. If you don't want to bring calamity to the 2 great sects, just obediently stand aside and watch. Emperor Ing also threatened. Su Fong, give the demonic rock and the treasured cauldron in your hands that can absorb the thunder tribulations to the sect. I will guarantee your safety. The upper echelon of the Clear Skies door was none other than the Xianlang Immortal Lord. When he heard the threats of the Dragon Origin Lord and Emperor Ying, he did not respond. Instead, he threatened Su Fong. Moreover, he knew that Su Fong had the cauldron of thunder punishment. Clearly, he had arrived long ago and was spying in the dark. You want me to give up the green Feather King and the cauldron of thunder punishment? This is the Clear Skies Myriad Scrolls Gate? Su Fong was stunned at first, then he laughed out loud. Looking at the constellation of 9 heavens, he asked, "May I ask what the upper echelons of the Star Palace think?" The leader of the constellation of 9 heavens was a great elder that Su Fong had never seen before. He was thin and tall, emitting an aura of desolation and nothingness. His cultivation had reached the 8th Dao realm, and he was also a supreme immortal lord. However, his status in the sect was still the Great Elder. Without waiting for the Great Elder to speak, a loud voice came from behind. Su Fong is a disciple of the constellation of 9 heavens. How can you leave him in the lurch? Although the Prince of Tranquility's estate and the heavenly Dao immortal realm are powerful, they are not enough to scare the Star Palace. Before the voice died down, a figure leaped out. It was the Star Palace's Ao Tian Peak's elder, Ao Tianzhang. Not only was his cultivation talent shocking, but he also had a tough character. Ao Tianzhang, how can you decide on the sex matters on your own? Come back. The great elder of the Star Palace bellowed coldly. Then he spoke to Su Fong indifferently. Su Fong, although you have contributed the ethereal enlightenment to the sect, you have also brought countless troubles to the sect. Now, you have offended 8 forces at the same time. If the sect were to protect you, it would definitely bring about the destruction of the sect. You better take care of yourself. Ao Tianzhang said hurriedly. Great Elder, if you make such a decision, won't the disciples be bitterly disappointed? Shut up. Is the sect more important? Or is a disciple more important? The Great Elder scolded sternly. Ao Tianzhang had no choice but to retreat angrily. The Clear Skies Myriad Scrolls Gate took advantage of the situation, and the constellation of 9 heavens abandoned me. Su Fong's cold gaze swept across the upper echelons of the 2 sections. He said decisively, Su Fong will withdraw from the 2 sections. The Myriad Scrolls Gate and the Star Palace will have nothing to do with me anymore. Wow. The crowd was in an uproar. Xianlang Deity Master sneered disdainfully. Gu Huajun's Master and the other upper echelons had a mocking look on their faces. The Star Palace's side looked gloomy. The upper echelons of the sect had received the exact news that the Tranquility Emperor's mansion and the Tiandao Immortal Realm were prepared to launch a destructive attack on the Star Palace at any time. They had no choice but to give up Su Fong now. Tiandao Immortal Realm, Tranquility Emperor's mansion, and all of you, come at me together. Su Fong, will take all of you. Su Fong pointed at the crowd from afar. He was going to fight against the 8 forces. An unparalleled, domineering aura rose spontaneously. Emperor Ying was the first to attack. He was like a high and mighty emperor. He exploded with an unparalleled, dominating aura that instantly covered Su Fong, the experts, and the big goblin. The corpse emperor opened his mouth and spat out a gust of corpse poison. In an instant, the void in front of him turned into a corpse poison domain. The corpse poison surged out like a tide. Emperor Ying, I'll leave this corpse emperor to you. After this, I'll definitely fulfill my promise. Dragon Origin Lord laughed. The dragon aura on his body exploded, forming shadows of divine dragons that swam around him. Along the way, he crushed over with an overwhelming aura. Get lost! Su Fong released the Thunder Punishment Cauldron. He formed a seal and struck out the power of Thunder Punishment. Lightning spread out. Then, with a loud crack, a purple lightning with faint golden threads struck out from the mouth of the cauldron. The Thunder Punishment Cauldron was not only used to absorb the Thunder Punishment, it could also release the absorbed Thunder Punishment. Su Fong had already fused with the Thunder Punishment Cauldron. He could control it with ease. with the Thunder Punishment Cauldron and the Thunder Punishment Cauldron that had just absorbed so much Thunder Punishment Cauldron. He released all of it. Instant Dragon Origin felt like he was about to be turned into ashes. He was shocked. This power is even more terrifying than the 10 great Tao instruments. What kind of Tao instrument is this? He thought to himself. Su Fong is only in the heavenly immortal realm. How can he use such a powerful Tao artifact? Imperial Bell. At this critical moment, a golden light spurted out from the top of Dragon Origin Lord's head. After a flash, it transformed into a bronze cauldron that was more than 10 feet tall. It had an ancient aura. Dong! Under Dragon Origin Lord's control, the bronze bell rang with a vigorous and long bell sound. The sound of the bell was filled with the divine might of a supreme ruler. It was filled with a solemn and dignified aura that made people involuntarily want to submit and worship it. A vast and majestic aura shrouded this space. This bronze bell was a Tao artifact that could release the Emperor's divine power. It was at the peak of the supreme grade and was very extraordinary. However, even with Dragon Origin Lord strength, he could not fully activate the full power of the peak of the supreme grade Tao artifact. He had almost exhausted all of his Emperor's energy. Crack! The lightning from the Thunder Punishment Cauldron was violent and powerful, shattering the shackles of the bell. Dong! The lightning struck the bronze bell. Light splashed in all directions, dyeing the space. The rumbling of the thunder was deafening. Some of the elders were shaken to the point that they could not fly. The spatial turbulence swept in all directions, engulfing more than 10 experts from the heavenly law immortal realm. The Tao runes on the bronze bell were shattered and the light disappeared. With a whoosh, it drilled into Dragon Origin Lord's head. Dragon Origin Lord was caught in a spatial vortex and was severely injured. Although the Thunder Punishment Cauldron, a supreme Grey Tao artifact of King Yu, was broken, its power was terrifying. Almost at the same time, the monk, Dai Yong, and the Ghost Dao's 5 freaks joined forces to kill the immortal emperor of the Great Qin immortal realm. They suppressed the immortal emperor of the Great Qin immortal realm, forcing him to retreat. He could only defend himself and could not fight back. Zhu Huang, Bai Ling, and the other big goblin, as well as Bamo Monarch and Sai Shui Monarch, the 2 former giants of the Celestial Devil Mountain, kept Dragon Origin Lord, Huang Ling Yao, and the other elders busy. Facing the many experts from the Heavenly Law Immortal Realm, Tranquility Emperor's Residence, and the Great Qin Immortal Realm, Su Fong suddenly released resurrected corpses and fearlessly charged into the crowd, starting a bloody massacre. Su Fong stood guard beside Green Feather Monarch, activating his great perfection ability and paying attention to every movement around him, especially Huang Ling Yao. As long as one of them activated Yunxiao's Thundersword, Su Fong would attack. In the air, the sounds of battle shook the heavens as more and more experts fell. Such a great battle was rarely seen in the past 1,000 years in the immortal realms. The spectating cultivators from afar all felt their hearts trembling with fear, shock, and surprise. Wasn't Su Fong directly crushed by several forces? How could such a situation occur? This person actually controls such a terrifying and powerful force. Young Master Shui, you originally wanted to take the opportunity to kill Su Fong and wash away the shame of the Clear Sky, Thousand Scrolls door. At this moment, it seemed that this battle would be a great battle for the rise of Su Fong. Compared to Su Fong, the so-called 10 great young masters were simply a joke. This person has already matured. The Celestial Moon Palace shouldn't provoke such a strong enemy. A celestial emperor from the Celestial Moon Palace said in a deep voice. The eyes of the great elder of the constellation of 9 heavens were filled with regret. Su Fong was originally a disciple of the Celestial Palace. His force should have belonged to the Celestial Palace. The Clear Sky, Thousand Scrolls doors, Xianlang, Immortal, also had a very ugly expression. Gu Huajun's master sent out a primordial spirit voice. Immortal, immortal. Su Fong has already held a grudge against today's matter. If we don't take this opportunity to eliminate him, there will be endless trouble in the future. A cold glint flashed across the Xian Lang immortal's eyes, and he replied with his primordial spirit, "Wait and see." Some of the other forces dispelled the idea of taking advantage of the situation, while others continued to wait and watch, ready to reap the benefits. Su Fong, you really shocked me. In just a few decades, you actually have such a strong force. However, no matter how strong the force is, it will instantly turn into ashes in front of the supreme Tranquility Emperor's residence. Emperor Ing suddenly sneered and released figures from the space in his body. Obviously, he also had a doctrine instrument with a huge space, which was specially used to carry experts around. In the blink of an eye, more than 50,000 cultivators gathered in front of Emperor Ing. Among them, there were more than 20 experts who were as powerful as the Great Elder, like Lin Yihan. This time, the Emperor Ning's residence displayed all the forces they had in the God Burial Enclosure. Competing in numbers? With a cold smile, Su Fong revealed the loftiness of an overlord. Nearly 30,000 junior commanders were released. Every 200 junior commanders formed a battle formation and merged their aura, primordial spirit, and even momentum into one with the grand unity divine art. Su Fong left half of the junior commanders by his side to intimidate the other forces who were watching. The other half charged toward the experts of the Emperor Ning's residence. The 200 junior commanders formed a joint attack with the grand unity divine art, which was equivalent to an expert at the Great Elder level. More than 10,000 junior commanders were equivalent to more than 50 Great Elders. Although there were many experts in the Emperor Ning's residence, they were like a sheet of loose sand.